Hello and welcome to the first Pop Shock podcast episode of 2023.
We're in the future.
This is
Talking to ourselves.
This is episode 29 of the Pop Shock podcast.
29. Wow.
29.
Dan, we survived.
Hope you had I hope everybody watching had a good Christmas and a good New Year. Survived it, got through it, got drunk, did all those good things. I'm Dan, and I'm here to kick off another year of podcasting and bullshitting with no one listening to us. This will be fun. And I'm joined by Chris. Chris, what's happening? How was your holidays?
It was fabulous, and I'm starting work tomorrow, which sucks.
That's so depressing.
Oh shit, that's a long time off.
I went Christmas Eve. I finished, and then I'm starting again. So, but it was a lovely break. It was lovely. Absolutely done nothing. I actually played one of the games that you've been telling me to play all the time, like for the past 6 months. We can get into that later.
Curious. Okay.
Curious.
Tease. Jerd, how you doing, man? You good?
Good out. Just playing a bit of fucking WWE 2K22 here.
Yeah.
My whole plan was just to have this playing in the background, but I'm like,
You want
well, Jericho's in there.
join in?
I want to get a bit of Jericho. No, hold on. I'll decide.
Right, so while Jerd plays video games,
I don't know. What have I been doing? Well, see, the last time I was talking to you, I don't think I'd watched Violent Night. I think I put it up on the...
Yeah.
I made an Instagram post on the page, and it wasn't even an episode. Imagine. I got like 9 likes. I was like, oh, this is nice. Fucking... Yeah, so Violent Night, I think I watched over Christmas. I feel like it's a Christmas thing. I don't know, 2 hours watching, talking about it, but it was really fucking enjoyable and really violent.
Yeah.
Good crack.
Yeah. I
watched Rogue One, which I'd never seen. I liked it.
Good.
I watched that so I could watch Andor. Yeah, because I think I was so I watched like the first episode of Andor, so I can't really mention anything about it. But I was talking to you about so 2 of my friends who I tried to do a podcast with. We did 1 episode and we all annoyed each other, so we didn't do it. But I was talking to them. One of them, Richie, is a podcast in Ireland called the Snug Podcast, and I was talking to them about possibly appearing on the pod, and just kind of came to Richie is very kind of antagonistic towards new Star Wars stuff. Jerd really likes it. The other guys also called Jerd, and I was saying they might watch it. I watch it. We talked about it a little bit on the previous episode. So yeah, first episode that I saw, I thought it was the first thing I watched. I didn't get it so much in Rogue One, but in the first episode of Andor, it was the first time I believed, these are real people.
Yeah, exactly. Andor was
it just like instantly I was like, this guy is like real. A bit of a fucking...
Yeah, kind of feels real. It's not made up kind of thing.
A lot of weird fucking UK actors showing up in it. It's fucking...
That is.
Filmed in Scotland.
And I seen him in a trailer for something else maybe. And I know he was in Batman. Fucking Travis from EastEnders. Remember the Scottish guy who was like, beating his wife?
Yeah.
How do we always sorry, I know it's me. That's what we always seem to talk about fucking EastEnders recently on this podcast. Who knew?
He's moving up the road. He's moving them up.
But yeah, he fucking is. Is he in Andor or is he in something? Is he in a trailer for something else I saw recently?
I think he is in Andor. I think he's like a guard in Andor.
Maybe that's it. Yeah, he just fucking he was in the new Batman.
He was commissioner.
And he done something else. Yeah. Was he in? I think he's shown up in some other kind of random shit. Like fair play to him.
From beating your wife in EastEnders to beating somebody in Andor.
Yeah, I think he got killed. I think he got hit over the head with a... That's always what happens at Christmas. Someone dies.
Yeah.
Like,
the drama.
What was her name? Mo. Oh, Mo. He was an actor. But yeah, other than that, I've been reading some comics. What have I been reading? I started do a power bomb.
Oh yeah, we didn't actually tell people that we're doing that. This is the what you've been watching section, by the way.
Just when I said that, I was like, "What's? Are we in the
that's just how you're in
section, or have I just started rambling from the start?"
Yeah,
I was like distracted by the game.
Since we're into it,
then I was like, "Okay, we're here."
Why not start with me to continue? Do you know what I mean? Just absolute talking over each other bullshit with absolutely
yeah. Do we normally go one by one, or we do everything in a list? I can't remember.
I reckon we should go a wee bit one by one because I want to talk about Star Wars. Just talking about Star Wars.
You can chip in with us.
In terms of what we're
watching.
Which
Star Wars?
Well, I wasn't arsed about. I watched 1 episode of Andor. I fell off of Boba Fett. blah blah blah. And then I seen that Mandalorian's starting back next month, and I was like, shit, I better watch Boba Fett because I know that Mando comes into it in the last 3 episodes. So I watched.
Oh shit! Yeah.
I watched the episode before Mando comes into it this morning. Jesus Christ, that's a bad show. It's a
I think I'm just
terrible show.
I might just watch the Mando episode.
It's so bad.
No,
the next one.
Yeah,
the last 3, because the next one I've got to go is the first one when Mando comes in there. Thank Christ, something needs to happen to change that show.
Obi-Wan was fucking messy too. Wasn't
it?
Yeah. When it settles in your brain after a while, you're like, that wasn't fucking real.
No, it wasn't.
It's some nice moments. That was it. It was pretty fucking
it started well and ended well in the middle.
I think I liked it at the time, which is a strange thing. But like after a while, you're like, that was shit.
After a wee bit of thinking,
that was shit.
That was bish.
That was really shit.
Yeah, so I watched. I'm going to watch the rest of Boba Fett just to catch up for Mando, and then I will watch Andor after that so that we can talk about that.
Yeah,
Andor, like for me, I found it difficult to get in for a couple of the first 3 episodes. I found it difficult, but after that, you get close to the character. You're like, he's pretty cool. So
and you'd be like, I'd say about 4 out of 5 as a Star Wars fan. Would be if it was to rate you as a Star Wars fan, how much you're into it. About 4 out of 5. You're not like
for Andor.
Oh no, for just Star Wars in general, like what?
Like now it was like a 10 out of 10, but now since the prequels and all that, it's probably like a 6 now. Like I still watch everything, but it's like I'm not expecting anything great.
Star Wars did to their fans what Game of Thrones did to their fans. Like they just made shit stuff and no one cared. Like and Marvel are kind of going that way, I feel, but that's a whole other thing.
That's the surprising thing. Like with Ragnarok is going down. That was really my big moment there. I just spit right there. But it's fallen.
That's like say. Look again. I had fun with Thor: Love and Thunder, but how else could that film be made? Ragnarok was so fucking critically and audience accepted. How else could they not just make another one with Taika? It ended up being what it was, but. They would imagine if they just said, "Oh no, Taika's not doing number."
An uproar,
yeah, and people would have. It had to happen. Like
I think
it didn't have to be that shit. Like again, I enjoyed it, but it could have been better. But
we'll get
there's no way Taika had to make that film.
Do you know what? I'm going to talk about Love and Thunder later because we're going to do the biggest disappointments of the year. That's going to be on there. So yeah, we'll come back to that. Chris, have you been playing anything recently? Have you been playing any like more Gotham Knights or? You said you were playing something.
God of War. I don't know if you were
the first one.
No, the fourth one. Yeah,
the fourth one. But the
2018 one. Yeah.
PS4 one. Yeah, I haven't finished it. I still fucking have it. I actually just saw a memory come up on my phone, going, "Oh yeah, get into this." I never played that much of it at all.
No, like
Chris, when you man?
When I first played it, I was like, I'm not getting into this. This is what is this? I'm not enjoying the first like 2 hours of it. I was like, what is going on here? And then when you really explore, like I loved it when you explored the worlds and you were going into the caves and actually kind of figuring out the lore and all that stuff. Because I wasn't really a massive fan of the God of War series, and I played them recently because I was wondering where the bloody knives were. You know, like
the chains,
the glowy fire.
Yeah, I was like, he's got an axe now. Oh, cool. Like maybe he's traded them in for the gods, but. I won't spoil it since you've not played it all the way through, Jerd, but it is one of the games that I really like this year now. Going in, I always think, see if I hate the game in the beginning, I fucking end up loving it. Like, if I love the game in the beginning, I hate it. It's a weird feeling.
I loved God of War all the way through. I thought, for me, the thing that hooked me was just how satisfying it felt to throw that axe and then catch it again. Like there was just something about that kinetic energy about that axe. It was like Captain America's shield. It had that same, vibe to it, and it was satisfying.
It was like the Arkham combat, like not like it wasn't like that, but it was the same feel you got. Like it was actually a good combat system. It
was also. I think the other thing it kept me going, like, I was never really into, like, the God of War stuff when it was, like, the kind of isometric camera and stuff. Like, the fact it was a kind of over-the-shoulder camera, the fact that it was a darker, a bit more serious story than we'd ever had before, a bit more kind of personal. I think it needed that kind of breath of... Basically, it needed The Last of Us to happen. Because it is very Last of Us. Like, I can take or leave all the fantasy shit. Like, I don't care about all the, me, I'm not like my fantasy stuff.
The Greek gods? I was going to say Greek gods, but it's
Norse gods.
Norse
gods. I prefer mythology to fantasy, I should say that. But it's still, it shares some similarities to fantasy. But even with that stuff, I could get past that because I cared about the relationship between Kratos and Atreus. That was what really kept it going. The same as like Joe and Ellie. Like even if you don't like zombie, even if you're sick of zombie shit, The Last of Us is interesting because of the relationship between those two characters.
Oh yeah, see at one point in the game.
See, at one
point in the game, the wee boy becomes a giant asshole, and I felt that. I was like, this guy's a prick. Like, what happened? Like, why is he becoming a prick?
Mate, I've not played the sequel, but in the sequel, apparently he's a properly like teenager, and he's throwing strops and shit, and he's been like, yeah, apparently he's been a wee dick. I've not got around to Ragnarok yet, but yeah,
I think it'll be good.
Oh, it'll be great. I'm very much looking forward.
I'm guessing it's like an original story that's not like they're paving their own path with these. I'm guessing there's going to be like a trilogy, like a beginning, middle, and end.
No, there's not. Well, so like they did the Greek trilogy, with like God of War 1 through 3, obviously. Ragnarok is the end of the Norse games, so they're only doing 2 Norse games. So there's part 1 and part 2.
Ooh.
And then
what's next?
There's no. It's not been announced yet.
There's no other gods though.
I would really like to see them do like Christianity, but I don't think they will. No. Mate, can you imagine Kratos stoating up to the House of Calvary, throwing a crucifix out and smacking guys with it? Like that'd be incredible. You know,
it'd be good to see like the Crusaders and stuff like
that. I don't see why not. Like, and I don't see why you don't do like the Hindu stuff, do the Jewish stuff, just go through them all. Like, I mean, I guess there's going to be like controversy and pushback for certain people, but I think it would be fascinating to see him doing all the different kind of like mythologies because
I mean they are gods.
Stories into
like,
it.
They do jump to like he jumped from the Greek world to there, so he could potentially.
Was it in 3 that there was those other things came in, the big giant? Or was that 2? Was that 2 and 3? There was the big giants. Just giant fucking like creatures of Earth or something. I remember it was like Mother Earth or something.
I don't remember. I can have it.
That's what I kind of thought. Like in the original thing,
PS2.
There was other characters apart from Greek gods themselves.
No,
there was another kind of system layered in. Because I just remember there was one where like you were working with them at first. I think they were just fucking giant like mountains that could walk and talk, and they were kind of humanoid. But you'd be climbing up them sometimes and talking to them. And I think he ended up killing one of them, maybe, or I can't remember.
Yeah, you kill him.
But I kind of just felt they weren't.
You kill a giant rock monster thing in the 3rd game. I'm sure I remember that, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't remember them being a part. Whatever they were, I don't remember them being a part of the Greek mythology. I thought it was another thing.
I remember like watching the like background trailer for them. They done motion capture for is it Kantos? What's his name? Fucking hell. Kratos. There you go. Like you can't get back to me. I've just finished off playing it. I can't remember the main character's name. But like they done all motion capture for them, and I thought, oh, this guy's going to be speaking a lot more. Like he's grown up. No, he's fucking silent. Like he barely says anything. Like he's a boy. Stop.
I think Christopher Judge's performance is brilliant. I think
he's great. He's great, but I was just like, silence.
I'm also curious how they're going to adapt it because they're doing a TV adaptation. Amazon.
Oh, no, they're not using him.
It's not been confirmed. It's not been. No one.
He's built though, isn't he?
Nobody really knows at this point. Yeah. I think there's a concern that even though he is about the age of Kratos in the game, is he too old to do some of the stunts? I think that's a kind of concern at the minute. But
your man, for sure they can fix that. They use stunt people too.
Yeah. I wouldn't be against Christopher Judge doing that, but I don't know how they'll cast that. But I think
film. Sorry,
it's a TV show. I think the biggest thing there is it's Amazon and they just absolutely made an arse of Lord of the Rings. So I think that's why people are concerned about the God of War thing. But
anything announced by Amazon now is a bit scary. Like I don't know if they've discontinued Lord of the Rings. I don't think they would have by now. I think they would have said we need to go guns blazing with it, but it didn't. I don't think the full season received good reception from anybody. Like, I don't think it approved to get a second season, even though they're probably doing it. But yeah, that was it. My God of War. That was what I was playing.
Yeah, well, I don't think Christopher Judge will be good casting. He'd be probably a bit old for what they need to do when they're actually getting around to it. And I guess like they could recast Kratos. He doesn't have to be like a kind of maybe unusual that he is white in the game.
It's probably like, but like they're probably thinking if they want to do a whole God of War series, they're probably thinking like 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe they're like, nah, sorry. Maybe you can be like a guest character, you can be one of the gods, but no.
The other names I've heard of, the other names I've heard have been like Tom Hardy and John Bernthal, and I'm like, I love Tom Hardy and John Bernthal, but they're kind of short. I feel like Kratos needs to be like 6 foot. Do you know what I mean? Or taller. Like, do you know what I mean? And they're like 5'8", 5'9". They're too short.
I think you would need somebody not really known. Really, like not really known, but like an upcoming person. Like, see when Daniel Craig with James Bond, even though he was an actor, you didn't really know him. You knew him from some things.
Yeah.
Like layer cake and things like that, but it wasn't like a massive thing.
Yeah.
They have that because as soon as I see Tom Hardy now, I'll be like, oh, that's Tom Hardy. That's no Kratos. That's Tom Hardy with his amazing beard.
What have I been playing? I've been playing stuff. I'm playing Need for Speed Unbound. That's pretty good. Did a review for that on the website.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, in the new year, I've got an article coming that's like the best DLC. So I've been playing loads of DLC stuff recently. I played Sniper Elite DLC, and I'm playing the Far Cry DLC just now, which is kind of weird. But I also played the Quarry.
Oh,
yeah, the Quarry. So me and Corey played it together because it's like a kind of story game.
Is that the same as is that from the same company? I can't remember what it was, but it was like
it's Supermassive Games. Supermassive Games.
Do you
play?
Yeah, do you play it like you play an actual game, or is it kind of like QuickTime, or is it like?
It's like Until Dawn. It's Telltale. It's sort of it's a bit more gameplay than Telltale. Like, but it's similar. Like, it's you move characters around, you interact with clues and stuff to open doors and shit, and then you make
like Hard Rain, maybe,
and then you make decisions. A bit like Heavy Rain, I guess. Yeah, you make decisions and you choose dialogue options, and then if there's a monster coming, you can choose to either hide from it or run from it. And if you run, it might catch you, but if you hide, and well, sometimes the options change all the time. Like, you get different options for different situations, and you just need to kind of go with your gut. I really enjoyed the first half of the Quarry. The second half, I feel like it kind of lost its way a bit, and it became a bit too flashbacky and a bit too convoluted, and I didn't find the ending satisfying at all. Like, the ending of these games, it is pretty much up to the player. Like, based on your decisions, characters live or die. So whoever's alive at the end of the game, is basically a result of your decisions. But Until Dawn done it in a way that, like, the characters that died, you saw them die and you had closure there, and the characters that lived, you saw them being like interviewed at the end by the police and stuff. So you had like a bit of closure with them and what happened with them and how they get out and where they were going. The Quarry just kind of ends. Like, there was a scene where Brenda Song's the character in the game, right? And Brenda Song, she's. I'm just going to tell you what the monster is, right? The monster's a werewolf, right? There's werewolves. So.
Okay.
So one of these werewolves is running towards Brenda Song right at the end of the game, and you have to shoot the werewolf. And if you shoot it, you kill all the werewolves. That's like the last werewolf, so you kind of kill them all and back to normal. You miss the werewolf, she dies, and that's it. Like, the game,
is it a scary werewolf, or is it?
And it doesn't feel the design. That's kind of cool. They're kind of humanoid. They don't have much fur, just big teeth. But I don't know. It just felt like, so that was the last part of the game, right? And it was doing that bit, and she missed the werewolf, right? She shot behind, and then Brenda Song got killed. But it didn't.
Courtney.
But it didn't feel like a conclusion. Like, it just felt like a moment, and I was like, "Oh, she's dead. I guess we'll move on now." And then the credits came up, and I was like, "Wait, there's still characters cutting about in the background. There's still characters infected by the werewolf that are just what you're looking at."
Calling me out for missing?
Yeah, calling you out for missing.
Why'd you do it, Courtney?
You missed.
You're right. 4 rounds.
Just started off your head out.
Brenda Swan.
You killed Brenda Song.
Brenda Song. Courtney.
Just killed the person. The main character.
Yeah, like, I don't know.
I wouldn't have missed that shot.
It just felt, but like in Until Dawn, right? If you did something wrong when a character died, you saw the character die, and then you would see the other characters like find the body and react to it, and be like, "Oh my god, Ryan's just died," or "Jessica's just died," or whatever their names are, right? Whereas in this game, it's just like, "Oh, that character's dead," so they're just not in it anymore. And then I don't know. It didn't have the same sort of structure, the same sort of but it just
Quarry was kind of an indie game, wasn't it?
No. It was a pretty pretty big game.
Pretty big game,
It was 2K. They published it. 2K published it,
Okay.
and it was Supermassive's obviously the team that do it. But Supermassive, they have. When they did Until Dawn, they were with Sony. They were a second party studio, so Sony didn't own them, but they funded them. So they had the kind of big Sony money, which is why Until Dawn looked so good and it felt like a AAA game. And then see those Dark Pictures games that they did, they're technically indie games because they're like published. I don't know if they're published by Supermassive or published by, I just can't remember. Like a different publisher.
Yeah, is Phil Coulter? No, that's not Phil. Is there like those Dark games you mentioned?
Yeah, Dark Pictures.
They're like
Anthology. Yeah.
Anthology, and like, is it Will Poulter?
Yeah. Will Poulter's in one of
He's
them.
in it.
Yeah, he's in one of them.
Yeah, because I think I've seen them come up in the store. I had no idea what they were.
They are okay wee interstitial stories, but none of them have been as good as Until Dawn. And for me, I've always been kind of chasing that feeling again. And when the Quarry was like their kind of next big full-fledged, because the Dark Pictures games are anthology games, so they only last like 2-3 years ago, whereas like Until Dawn last year like 12 years, 13 years less a normal game. So when the Quarry was announced as that kind of the next game that's going to be that size, I was like, hell yeah, here we go, this is going to be the successor I've been looking for. And it just didn't live up to. I thought it was okay. It was a good setup. The cast is great. Like, you've got Justice Smith, the wee guy from like Transformers, and not Transformers, Pikachu. He was in. In fact, he was in Bumblebee, wasn't he? The wee black boy. He's in Bumblebee. He's in.
Oh, he's the lead in Doctor Pikachu, Detective Pikachu.
Yes, Detective Pikachu.
I'm sure there is some.
And he's in the Jurassic World movies as well. That guy.
Is he?
Yeah, he's in it.
Don't know.
Brenda Song's in it. Who else? There's different faces in the cast that you're like. Different faces in the cast that you're like.
Thanks, Courtney. I don't even know who that is, but I'm upset.
What's the daughter for Modern Family? Is it Ariel Winter or something?
Oh yeah. I think I see.
There's certain faces in the cast that you're like, oh, I know them, I know that. It's kind of well-known actors. And thingy's in it. David Arquette, he's the camp leader. He's
and
guy.
Fucking Raimi's brother, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Dave Raimi.
I don't
know what
what's
Sam Raimi's brother is in it.
Oh, is he? What's the guy that used to be fat that's now thin? He was in My Name is Earl.
Oh,
Ethan something.
Suplee.
Yeah, so he's in it.
Suplee, yeah. Fuck the fuck.
So it's quite a high budget. Do you know what I mean? It's got a decent budget on it. I think Lance Hendrickson's in it as well. Was he not the dad? But yeah, I don't know. I was disappointed at the end. But
do you think it is like because it is? Do you think because when they do all the voice capture, the facial capture, and that's supposed to distract you from the story? They get all these people in. Like, we've got this budget, but the actual story is shit.
Yeah.
My thing was, right, so when we finished the game, right, I was like, maybe, obviously the ending of the game, it's up to your choices. So like, if you don't kill certain people, if you do kill certain people, if you let certain people live. Oh yeah, he's a horrible cop in it. Yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, that's Raimi's brother, right? Okay, yeah.
He shows up in the Spidey films in like the Daily Bugle office.
Yeah, you do get to blow his face off with a shotgun at the end if you make a certain decision, which is fun.
Jesus.
See, it's kind of hard to spoil these games though, because everything can happen and can't happen. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like, oh, he dies, because there is a way that he doesn't die. And, yeah. Anyway. Aye, that's what I thought when it ended. But that's what I thought when it finished. I was like, do you know what? Maybe it was a shit ending because of what we did. But then I was like, well, no, because Until Dawn wasn't like that. Like, you shouldn't have to play it a certain way following the quote-unquote right answer to get a good ending. Like, all the endings should be satisfying, whether whether everybody dies or everybody lives. Like, I thought that was the whole point of these multiple choice games. Like,
I guess there's an element to that too, where if you just pick one and there's 4 options, some of them could just naturally be better. Like, obviously, the ideal that they're all good.
But when I say bad ending, I don't mean bad in the sense that the characters die. I mean poorly told. Do you know what I mean? I mean like poorly summed up. I don't mean like it's a bad ending as in like the people die. I mean it's just not well told. Like.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, sometimes a very small thing could piss you off about a film, but if you had an option of a different ending, you'd be like, actually,
there was a part where there's a wee guy he's a kind of jock character. He's in a jail cell, and one of the werewolves has been captured in a jail cell next to him. And then Justice Smith is at like the breaker machine, and there's like 4 breakers, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. It shows you the jail cells for literally 2 seconds, and they've all got numbers on them, but they're not in order. Now, the jail cell with your pal in it, the jock character, he's in jail cell number 3, and then the camera cuts to the breakers thing. So I'm like, right, okay, then I'll pull handle 3. But when you pull handle 3, nothing happens. You need to pull 2 handles. But then the game doesn't let you switch back. Like, oh, in real life, the character could just turn around and look and be like, right, okay, that's the cell. Do you know what I mean? But in the game, you can't spin the camera, you can't press a button, like, you're just looking at these breakers, so you just have to guess whatever the thing is. And then I just went, oh, fuck it, pulled this handle. And then a door opened, like, between the two of them. Like, there's a cell between the werewolf and the boy, and that door opened. And then Justice Smith's character's like, oh, I'm not chancing this anymore, I'm just going to leave you to it. And then he just disappears. And because of that, later on, the power goes out, so all the doors open, and then the werewolf just eats the guy in the cell. And I was like, that wasn't my decision. The game didn't let me look at that cell, and then it's not as if the character was like sometimes it comes up like, do you want to stay and help this guy, or do you want to leave? Like sometimes it gives you that option. Never gave me the option. Justice Smith was just like, you're on your own, mate, see you later. and then later on he died, and I was like, that's not that's shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're going to do that, don't give me the illusion of choice. Just tell the story. I don't know. Bad game.
There's all these.
What an oddly designed prison.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like all those horror games, you're like, that doesn't really.
I don't know. It's fine. It's a good setup. It's got good graphics. It just doesn't have a great payoff.
That's one of those things. Why I've kind of got I don't really like those games that much because you're restricted to all that stuff. Because if you say The Witcher, for example, you could go into that cell and fix it or whatever. You've got all the free reign to fuck up or do the right thing. Like in Red Dead as well, like you can be like a outlaw and you get a tiny different ending, maybe a little bit different, but you're still getting a proper story ending. You're just maybe you're not getting a grave, you're just getting flung off a cliff instead of getting buried. You know?
I've never been a fan of like multiple choice games. I think, in my opinion, these writers and stuff, they get paid a fortune to tell a story, so tell your story. Do you know what I mean? Like, and when a game like The Last of Us has the balls to end the way it ended, that there's something to that. Whereas when a game like Mass Effect at the end, where it was like, oh, you do this, or you do, and it's all really the same ending, but it's like, oh, you choose. Piss off! Like, just tell me your story. You're the writers, I'm the audience. Tell me your story. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, any game that kind of takes you away from control of the characters, I
stay away from.
There's so many that kind of fit into that, like I really not think anything. What the Command and Conquerors and stuff, where you're like just moving through,
like strategy games,
Premier Manager, turn-based games.
Yeah, I'm not
anything like that. I'm like, nah, fuck this.
Although I did play a strategy game.
This isn't really a game.
I played a strategy game recently called Ixion, and it was. It's the kind of game. It's humanity's fucked basically, right? The world's gone, so humanity all packs out a spaceship, and you're basically Elon Musk. You're in charge of a spaceship, and you're taking all these. All these wee guys to this other planet. You need to like go in and like keep them all alive. But it's the kind of game where as soon as something goes wrong, as soon as like power goes out or food runs out, you're pretty much fucked. Like there's no real way to recover. Like the people just start rioting and then they all kill each other and it's like game over. Or the power cuts out and everybody suffocates. Like it doesn't give you enough time, especially like I was only playing it for a couple of hours, and because I was just playing it for review, and there's not enough time to like recover, and then it's just like, oh, you've now lost like 2 hours of progress because everything went to shit in like 2 minutes. That annoyed me, and I was like, see, if I was actually playing this for fun, like I'd be done. I'd just switch this off. Like
yeah.
I mean, there's people that love that. They appreciate the grinding, you know, but that's 2 hours wasted, man.
I know.
You know,
I know.
looking at it that way.
I don't have the patience.
We're old, that's the way we look at things. Like, you're wasting 2 hours. I could have had a sandwich and made a fried egg in that time.
Jerd, have you been watching anything else or reading anything?
I was trying to grab my tablet just to be like, what the fuck have I been reading? So I've indirectly got into a wrestling buzz again. I kind of rambled about it there a little bit earlier, but I think a bit also before we were recording. My Royal Rumble just got a greatest of all time match rating, so that's good. But yeah, so I tried to buy like one of the older ones. It didn't work, and then I found Know Your Role, or not Know Your Role. So 2K, is that a publisher?
Yeah.
Yep.
I just assumed 2K was like a part of the new WWE
No.
brand.
2K.
So when I was seeing all these other 2K, like, well, that's basketball. What the fuck is
Yeah,
that?
It's like
they do all the sports games, but they also do like Borderlands, 2K's Borderlands, and the Quarry, and yeah.
Because I was seeing 2K come up a lot, and I was like, there can't be this many people playing that wrestling game. So yeah, I got it. Downloaded a lot of the old characters that I actually know. Made my own character there. But before that, even I started reading Do a Powerbomb, which is a wrestling book by Daniel Warren Johnson. He did like a 5-issue thing about Beta Ray Bill, which everyone loves him. Like the comic tropes guy, he just says like he's most favorite. Like he even gave Do a Powerbomb his #1 rating for comics of the year. So it's, and I did Murder Falcon, which I think is the first comic that ever made me cry.
Wow.
If I'm not mistaken. It's just real fucking like rad. It's like it's this guy. He's like a falcon, and he's got a big robot arm, and he just kind of shows up, and he's like has to fight all these monsters, and he's helping this kind of musician guy. But it's really fucking visceral artwork, like, and it's just like even he was kind of bringing wrestling moves into his comics beforehand, just for superheroes, like in the Beta Ray Bill stuff. Some of the like they're doing DDTs and suplexes, and the way the comic tropes guy was saying, it was like, well, that's wrestling moves are a really good way to capture. They blend well with superhero stuff because they capture motion really well. Like certain ones, obviously more than others. But Do a Powerbomb is very interesting, and like even in the first or second issue, it's like straight in. It's only like 7 out, but it's straight in with like twists and turns. So basically, this young girl, her mother dies when she's a child, and then she becomes a wrestler. Her mother was a wrestler, and this necromancer from a different universe just comes in, and he's like, yeah, do you want to come and wrestle in my, like, she's not getting placed. I think people in the industry have been warned off because her mother died. Like, they don't want to fucking, she's very good, but they don't want to give her a proper chance. So he's like, yeah, do you want to, like, come to my wrestling tournament? And if you win, you can bring your mother back to life. And like, that's kind of the thing, that everyone who's in the competition are in it to bring someone back to life.
Oh, right.
And what is this? But the thing is, Earth is the only place where professional wrestling is fake. Everywhere else is a real sport.
Right.
It's not scripted.
It's violent.
And like the necromancer, like there's a bit where it nearly comes up at the start, but the necromancer just believes. I think she's aware of it, and she just kind of lies or whatever. But the necromancer at a certain point is like, oh, there's no way your wrestling could be fake. Like he laughs it off as a joke. So like their first match they're fighting, or maybe their second, no, the first match they're fighting these two orangutans, and like one of them's a really big one, the other one's a really small one, and she teams up with this other wrestler. But yeah, just a very visceral artwork, looks great and real snappy. Like it's kind of like boisterous fun, but then bang comes in with a bit of emotion, and looks beautiful. I mean, like Daniel Warren Johnson writes and draws it all. Other than that, comics wise, I can't really think of it. I caught up on a bit of the Exile stuff. It's like the mutants going around the multiverse. Current Spider-Man, so that's coming into the Dark Web storyline now.
Ooh,
so
the dark.
So I've read a bit of the Gold Goblin. I think I was telling that last time.
Yep.
You were wrong, Chris. Anyway, a bit more of the Gold Goblin. It's weird. Like he's like cursed, dropping a lot of F-bombs, and I think he's starting to kind of come a little bit unhinged. So he's still cleansed of his sins, but now he's trying to get his memory wiped so he doesn't remember them because they're haunting him. And it's interesting. Jonathan, like it's weird to see Norman as a protagonist, not necessarily a hero. Like he's doing fucking weird stuff. The Spider-Man book, there was 2 issues out where one he fought Venom, one he fought Chasm, whatever fucking Ben Reilly his clone is calling himself. And their fight, the Ben Reilly fight, was really good because Ben Reilly has some like magic stuff now, but like it was just a really good fight. And at a certain point, Pete, like they'll always do that in comics where Peter's like describing how he's going to win the fight because like you just don't have the experience. I have more like you had some memories of my experience, but you've lost them, and like you just don't have the experience. So at a certain point, Peter outclasses him, but then Chasm kind of tricks him into doing something. And in the Venom fight, it's fucking weird. So with the Goblin Queen, or Queen Goblin or whatever, because there also is a Goblin Queen going around at the exact same time now. So there's a Goblin Queen and a Queen Goblin. One is like a clone of some other character who she now has all of Norman's sins in her body. So she's evil. And then there's the Madeline Pryor clone of Jean Grey who's been Queen Goblin or Goblin Queen. I can't remember. I'm literally doing. One has the Y on it instead of the Goblin with an I. Anyway, Peter's fight. Oh yeah, so part of her powers is she makes things come to life, and they all like kind of scream and stuff, and like attack people, like buses eat people, and that kind of very Ghostbustery. So when he's fighting Venom, Venom shows up. Like Venom is also being corrupted by her, but Venom's doing like it's a very short fight, and it's quite smart how it finish it. But like it's kind of, I think every comic should have like a good fucking knockout fight, and especially when they're leading up to Venom coming to try and kill Peter. Mm-hmm. That should have been a much longer fight. But what Peter does is he like lights a little fire, and there's a load of Christmas trees that have been screaming and shit, like they're trying to attack people and stuff. But he just puts the fire near them. Like Venom is weak to fire, but when he puts the fire near the Christmas trees, they all start screeching. And then Venom's suit starts freaking out, and then Spider-Man just fucking knocks him out. Like, so I thought it was a nice little smart finish. Other than that, then games. So, shit, yeah, I finished Last of Us. I think I might have said that last time I was here. I got the wrestling game and played a couple of matches of that. Really enjoyed it. I have a remaster of Crisis that is, I think, because of the old design of the game, is really fucking difficult. Like, you can't just, you have like an invisibility suit, you have an armor suit, but like if you try and run into like 6 people, you're dead, like without cover. So it's really fucking taxing. And like it's the kind of thing where you have to try the same place like 10 times, just to get every one of them. And it's a little bit of it is just because it's an old game, and that makes it extra challenging. But I'm finding it very enjoyable as well.
It's Crisis is great. Satisfying.
Yeah,
very satisfying.
I have to go through the later ones, but other than that, talked about Rogue One, Andor. Yeah. Oh, I watched The Menu last night.
All right.
How was it? That was going to be on my list for like.
Very enjoyable. Yeah. So
what's the one?
A guy I know put up a big list of films that. Actually, there's a couple more that I've seen too. A guy I know put up a big list of the films that he's seen over the year, and a lot of them, any of the ones I saw I'd liked, and then other ones, they're all like kind of arty ones. The Menu was there, might have watch that. I won't say much, I just enjoyed it, thought it was very good. Ralph Fiennes and
amazing.
Rafe,
he's amazing.
Again, going up against Anna Taylor-Joy, their chemistry and performance together is fantastic.
Really?
And a lot of, and it's a Succession guy, isn't it? Because there's a couple of Succession actors. I think I was listening to some review and he started off on Ali G originally, I think. Succession is like guys from Peep Show, and I think there's a couple of English writers behind Succession. So they come from like pretty well.
What character in the menus from Succession?
An Asian guy. He's a part of
the three. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
He's just horrible in the show. Like he's fucking just so cold or something.
Right.
And then the main, the kind of short main business guy, he's in Broad City. He's fantastic. Like anytime I've seen him, he very often plays a really camp kind of European, like Eastern European. He's fucking brilliant. Or he could be Mexican, I'm not sure, or Argentina. I'm not even sure where he's from, but sometimes I've seen him in a lot of other things where he's accents and stuff, but he's fantastic. Whole film thought it was really good. I saw White Noise the other night, the Noah Baumbach film. It's on Netflix.
How is that?
Did you see it?
I've not seen it.
I saw a trailer for it.
See, it's weird. Like Noah Baumbach is known, and I think I've seen most of his films, like dramedies, and like this technically is, but now he's had films like Greenberg where Ben Stiller has just came out of like being in a psych ward for a couple of months, and he's kind of readjusting to life and in a breakdown. So that character acts as a bit strange. The Merowitz stories on Netflix, which was very good, and it was a little bit away from reality because it's how some characters were very quirky in the style of it. But this just like, and actually because I went to see for the first time in ages, I went to see a play last night in like our National Theatre. It was very good. I think I talked about it during the Halloween episode. I've listened to an audio version of The Weird. It's just like 5 people in a bar telling ghost stories and stuff. Saw that last night, but like that's kind of done in a fairly realistic way. But one thing I got from college is when you're trying to analyze a play in particular, you'd always have to. I would always try and categorize how far away from realism this is.
Mm-hmm.
So like the characters speak kind of behaviorally, but there's certain elements of it that are just everything just seems kind of at a tilt to being just that bit heightened more than anything I'd seen Bob back do.
Mm.
And the trailer is kind of like I seen stills of it and I just assumed, oh yeah, family drama set in the 80s.
Yeah.
And then I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, this is fucking different. Then when you actually the film, it's even different again. Now I did fall asleep for like I'm going to guess about 20 minutes or 10 minutes at the end. So I do have to finish it, but I got a good general vibe of it. I thought it was quite interesting. And I watched Prey again, and I didn't watch it with the Comanche subtitles.
Yes.
And I saw a lot of fucking negative aspects to it that I didn't.
Oh, right. Oh, shit. Oh, God.
Certain like
you were going a different
things
way.
that I was like. No, because I watched it with the Comanche first time, and I didn't really notice these things. But I think when I was watching it with someone else, just certain things I was like, oh, that's a bit fucking dumb.
Yeah.
The helmet thing, like
yep.
They could have used that, but they could have just used it better. And
It's a bad movie.
Bad!
How dare you? How dare you, Dad?
You even think that at the time?
Nah, I hate
you hear my voice breaking there. I was so upset.
Yeah, I didn't like it at the time. No.
Jesus. Now I say I saw some bad things,
but yeah, that wasn't that bad.
Maybe the Comanche fucking sub or voiceover helped in the suspension of disbelief. You're just like, oh, these people, I don't understand what they're saying, but I can read the subtitles.
So it's okay. The movie's bad.
Yeah, shit. No, it's not bad.
It's bad.
I can't say. I still have an issue with saying it's bad, but I just had issues, technological issues. Not technological. Well, technically.
Film.
Story issues. Like,
Story issues.
She could have used the head thing, but she could have fucking just done it differently.
He should have seen it coming.
Led him into a path.
How dumb is he that he didn't see his own helmet coming? Dumb.
She was very lucky to get, yeah.
He's blind without the helmet,
Bad
Dan.
Writing. Terrible. Shite film. Overrated.
Fucking great.
Jeez.
How dare you.
Yeah, that's pretty much. Started Resident Evil 1, but like, I tried to start it again last night, and it was asking me like I had to start everything, and it was asking me to put in a load of like, adjust your screen. I thought I'd at least started it last time, so I was like, okay, I'm not going to do that now.
Like the brightness and stuff, adjust your brightness.
But it just seemed to be more. There was some extra save option that I wasn't like aware of like a cloud saving or fucking Capcom system thing that like wasn't there first time, and I was like, okay.
Oh no, that interfering.
I keep meaning to. I don't know. I just Resident Evil 1 still doesn't seem that interesting to me.
Yeah.
Even though I'm planning to play them all before the fourth one comes out, but like we'll see how we go.
Yeah, it's a very vague story, Resident Evil 1. I mean, I think it would be interesting if you don't really know the whole glamour of Resident Evil. It's probably dead boring now since you're kind of aware of it.
I'm aware of, like, I've watched videos breaking it down and stuff. I never seemed interested. Like, that's what my brother used to play, but then Resident Evil 2 was when I started playing it, so that's my...
That's good, there you go. That's good. Resident Evil 2 is better.
Yeah. And I have all the, like, physical games now, too, most of them. Well, I have 2 in... something, 1, 2, 3. But yeah, other than that, so there's within the Spider-Man books, there's a couple there, so you're reading Gold Goblin, Amazing Spider-Man. I don't know. The magic, the everything coming to life and eating people, it's a bit cartoonish. I went back to read like X-Men Inferno when like that first happened, and I was like, this isn't really for me. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's very, there's a lot of layers to it.
I went back and rewatched Gladiator the other night because there's been...
Did you give it one of them or one of them? Whatever.
Nah, it's still good. It holds up.
Shite, man.
The casting news of Paul Mescal as the protagonist.
What? Yeah, I thought I saw that.
Yeah, he's playing... So see how... What's her name? Wonder Woman's mum. Corey Nielsen. Her kid in it, when he grows up, he is going to be the protagonist in the sequel. So it's Paul Mescal that's playing him. So because that news, I was like, Jesus. You know what? Let's go back and watch the first one on Netflix. It was good. What's funny though, right? I hadn't seen it in years. See the score by what's his name? Hans Zimmer. It is it is literally just Pirates of the Caribbean. Like, there's see during the opening battle scene in Gladiator, literally music's da 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 da, and then it doesn't go like da 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 da. It goes da 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 da. It's so similar, and you're like, there's just a few notes missing, and you're like, that's just Pirates of the Caribbean. So I looked in the trivia on IMDb, and it was like the main theme for this, the main battle theme for Gladiator was repurposed for the Pirates of the Caribbean score 2 years later, and I was like, oh, there you go. So yeah,
that's weird. Yeah,
same theme.
Who's the guy who did? Is it Hans Zimmer again who did Endgame?
Like,
the Portals.
who did do that? MTM? I don't know actually who's done the score for Endgame.
There's a funeral song from Endgame. Tony Stark's funeral song. Spoilers. Tony Stark's funeral song is the team from Castaway.
Right.
Is
it
very, very, very slight changes? It might start off a little bit different, but it's the exact same song.
I feel like a lot of MCU scores are pretty. Yeah, it's probably Alan Silvestri. He's usually the...
It's Mark Silvestri then, who's the comic book artist.
Oh yeah, oh god, yeah. Are they related?
I don't know.
Does anyone know?
Good. So we're related in that.
No. They're both skilled in their craft.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, both, like,
Marvel soundtracks.
The name Silvestri just has a vibe of class to it.
I feel like Marvel soundtracks have always been subpar. Like, see when you go back and rewatch the MCU, other than the main theme, there's very little to it, like to the music.
Thor Ragnarok is fucking great. I love that whole the Thor suite or whatever. It's like 8 minutes long. It's fantastic. Really? Ant-Man is one of the smartest teams I've ever heard. Really.
James, I couldn't tell you the difference. Like, I couldn't tell you the difference. Like the soundtracks, sure. Like, I know the soundtrack to
he done Predator. Alan Silvestri. Oh no, he's definitely good. He done Predator, the fucking soundtrack. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh yeah. He's just one of those big
names. Yes. Silvestri's like Zimmer, and yeah, he's up there with big ones. But he's
What was I going to say? What did I get 5 out of? Banshees of Inisherin. I don't think I talked about that.
Oh,
on Christmas Day.
How is that good? I'm hoping it is good. I've still never watched it.
Jerd, what did you think?
Is it the same?
What do you think?
I liked it a lot.
See if you say it's shite, I'm fucking.
Dan will say it's shite, but that's just.
I liked it a lot.
Fucking.
I liked the themes and I liked the kind of metaphors of the fighting that was happening across the water at the time in Ireland that you can literally see across, the river. Versus the conflict that's happening on this island between these two guys. Like, I liked the parallels. I liked the cinematography. It was a really good look movie. There's literally nothing else to it. There's not a twist. There's not a hook. But I think that's kind of the point. Like, it's just a depressing story about two guys on a depressed island.
A sad story,
like, that's it. It's bleak as fuck. Like, Jesus, it's horrible. Like, I don't know if I want to rewatch it because it's really dark towards the end. But I think and I think this is probably like just a me thing, a kind of prerequisite of being a Mark McDonagh fan. You're expecting a twist because of like In Bruges, Seven Psychopaths.
Yeah,
you're expecting something, another, and there's nothing. It's just these two guys fall out.
That's it,
and that's it. And things slightly escalate, and then it's really sad at the end, and then that's kind of it. And I enjoyed it, but I'm like, I don't know. Can you say like audience expectation? Like, really, all that matters is what's there on the screen. That's that's what you should be like. If you're reviewing it, that's what you should be reviewing. And what is there on the screen is well written, it's well acted, it's beautiful to look at. Like, the actual film itself is incredibly well made. I just don't know. I don't know how it stacks up to the rest of the stuff. I enjoyed it, and I didn't think it was bad, and it very much felt like a play. It felt like, Mark McDonagh originally was a playwright, obviously. This one feels the most like a play out of any stuff. This one feels most like a stage because it's small scale. There's nothing grand that really happens. It feels like it could be done. It could be done on a stage really easily. It could be adapted.
Do you think it will be the last collaboration with Brendan, Colin, and Martin, or do you think they're going to be more down the road? Do you think that's the end?
I don't know. Like, I had kind of good old classics are doing it the whole time. They might do a third, maybe, but like,
Jerd, what did you think? What did you think, Jerd?
I might kind of view this a bit won't get into it exactly, but my ever so slightly spoiled, but also my expectation of it pulled in a certain way because my auntie had seen it and she talked about what's in it or whatever. So I was expecting kind of like something else, like some other big. I was expecting something. I knew it was going to be dark, but I thought it'd be darker. From what I'd heard, I thought it was going to be much darker than what it was. So I think that kind of affected me while watching it. So I was kind of like waiting for the other shoe to drop, kind of thing.
Barry Keoghan's character was by far the most tragic in my view. Like his character.
Yeah,
Jesus.
So I heard a lot of like when I watched. I think I kind of a bit of time, so I haven't really thought about it much. I will definitely rewatch it, but maybe in a while. So I probably mentioned this before. In Bruges, I liked it, really liked it the first time I saw it. Saw it the second time, hated it. So I just thought the dialogue was. See, I'm like, even especially with that play I went to last night. I think being Irish, and you probably have a similar thing being Scottish, when there's something that kind of X amount of the humor originates from the Irish or Scottish, say in this example, Irish delivery. I can be very fucking weary of that because as soon as I think that's all it's leaning on that too much, I'm out. I'm like, that's what, like The Guard. I think we talked about like Martin McDonagh's brothers' films. The Guard. I was like, it was too. Oh, fucking, I'm a big fucking idiot. Like it comes across very like the Father Ben skit in Father Ted. Do you remember when they're watching Father Ben?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh,
he's a big.
I have my boxers on my head. I'm such a big idiot. That kind of thing, because like even in the play I was watching last night, one of the actors was kind of he wasn't. He was very natural at points and he was very good, but I think the way it was directed, it just kind of had that. I don't know. I sometimes just hear an Irish guy. So in Bruges, I think I maybe got a sense of that, or like the dialogue's a little bit too fake, or it'd be like the kind of thing if someone was saying it in real life. You might have like 3 people. If there was 10 people in the room, you could have like 4 or 5 people laughing. And you just have 2 or 3 other people like that. Like, it's not funny. Like, so it's the kind of stuff that it's nearly like it can be humorous to some people, but it's such low hanging fruit that you're like when you hear it, it's just like
like Melissa McCarthy's whole career, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hit or miss.
I think it's a bit different when, like, 'cause my main thing of that is it's an Irish thing where
yeah, I get you.
It'd be the kind of thing that might piss off all Irish people, but certain Irish people would be like,
come on,
kind of like the way we see Bono going over to Americans. They're like, shut up. You know, like Bono kind of like plays into the American vibe or whatever, and he's not maybe as like witty as some Irish people are, like or whatever, but yeah, so I'm hyper aware of it. Like the second time I watched in Bruges, I got a vibe of that off. But then I watched it again, and I have a real thing now for something it can have a bit of action or a bit of gunplay or whatever, but when that's done realistically. So like I don't know, maybe he got shot too many times at the end of In Bruges, but when the bit where he's on the boat and he thinks he's far enough away not to get shot, but then he still gets shot, and then he's just like he's fucked, like he knows he's done. I guess it's not fully clear if he dies in the end of In Bruges. But then I watched Seven Psychopaths. I definitely talked about this because he mentioned In Bruges, Banshees of Inisherin last time. Yeah, I have an issue with kind of meta stuff sometimes. If something's a bit too, like, well, I'm the character in this story, so I'm going to say this. Now, again, I kind of liked it in She-Hulk because it's a bit different. She actually goes into a different thing. But sometimes I think that stuff can just put me off. So Seven Psychopaths is a bit too meta and up its own arse for me. And then what's the other one? 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
That was great. That was good.
I thought Sam Rockwell just completely changed into a different person halfway through the film, and it just took me out of it. I thought it was great besides that, but I thought he was too horrible at the start.
He didn't feel like it was.
He wasn't even like he was an honourable schmuck by the end, but he was like a fucking assaulted some guy and like tortured him in the hospital. Then afterwards, like threw him out a window. Like it just didn't seem like the same person. And he also racist at the start of it too, like heavily. Yeah. So fuck him as a character, but like it took me out of it. So this, I think I have to watch it again. Fucking the sister who I've talked about before is in it. She's My Girl Friday. She's one of Tony's AIs who speaks exactly how she speaks in this film as Tony's AI from Age of Ultron on.
Kerry Condon.
It's like, oh, your man's in she's on about Ultron. Tony's flying into Sokovia. She's like, your man's in the boss there. Your man's in the church there, boss. It was like, that's the most Irish. I think I actually I tagged her on Instagram. I was like, this is the most Irish line I've ever seen. She liked it, whatever. But she was great. She had a very natural West of Ireland.
Yeah, she's great.
Like, even she speaks in a way that's I don't know from films. I only know from real life. That kind of thing. And Colin Farrell and the other lads, Barry Keoghan. I'm Irish, I should know how to say that. But they were both great, and I really liked how they played country people. Like, Colin Farrell is still Colin Farrell. He's a handsome man, but he's got the real thick eyebrows.
Yeah.
And the hair is all kind of matted down on him. He looked like someone who would have lived on the island, like on an island.
Colin Farrell and Kerry Condon's chemistry was, for me, one of the best parts of the film. I think their two history as like brother and sister, I just bought it.
Yeah,
there was a tragedy to it, but there was a real thick, lived-in relationship there, I think.
Yeah.
Because
and you could see she was kind of lonely too. Like, he was kind of being forced into this lonely life, but it seems like she was always in it.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a certain point where he invites her to the pub and she goes, and then he cancels, and then she's like, "Oh," but she has that. I just loved her accent. It felt so familiar to me. Like, she reminded me of so many people I know. Like, and a really interesting thing so I think we were talking about what was the Scottish thing with the woman plays the little schoolboy and
the Crankies.
The Crankies. So we had a thing in Ireland called the Dunbelievables. Which I'm not going to say it's exactly the same thing, but it was these two lads anyway. They're comedians, Pat Short and John Kenny's the main of the other guy. We loved it. Like, it was very like he ended up being like Killing the Scully. I don't know if that ever crossed over to the BBC.
Heard of it?
Which I thought was shite, but it started so Dunbelievables is a stage show, but they also released like videos. It was just like little sketches together. They're fucking brilliant. Like, because we had for example, we had a shop, so there's a bit where a kid, like one of them was playing a kid. He's like, "How much is that? How 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 much is that?" And it's like, after like 5 minutes, like, "Hey, what did would you come on?" Like, and like, just and like, even some of there is some skits of them online that are very good. And so Pat Short is the barman, main barman, and John Kenny is the main customer who's often seen beside him. So that has a whole extra meaning of just like, I don't know, your average Irish person. Look at the fucking two of them there, like
like nostalgia,
probably Oscar nominated film now. But some of their stuff, like Pat Short. Pat Kenny is he's a broadcaster. Pat Short is in a film. I think it's by Lenny Abrahamson, who did like Adam and Paul. I think I've told you about that before. There's one called The Garage, where he just plays kind of like a bit of a slow guy who works in a countryside garage. It's bleak as fuck, but it's great. It's a really good film. Like, I definitely recommend that. So even just like Pat Short, he is this kind of. He'd be, in some cases, he's nearly seen as kind of like fucking, what's his name? Christy Brown, Mrs. Brown's boys.
Right.
That guy. He's kind of seen like him. He plays characters and they're a bit tweedly eye. But some of his stuff has been very good, and he has done some serious acting roles. So it's just great to see them in it. And other than that, then there's the old woman. I guess we don't need to get too much further into it. But I think I need to watch it again and give it a bit more time, but I did enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I think I need to just watch it again, just without any stupid fucking expectations that I had built up in my head a little bit, but also kind of like my aunt definitely said something. I was like, that didn't happen in the film at all. Like, there was no touch of it. And I was just like, going, oh. Yeah. I thought the sister kind of, it seemed, no, I won't say anymore. But yeah, it was good.
Nice. At least it's worth it. You both would recommend it, so I'll watch that tonight then.
Oh, definitely.
Like, if you're just in a good, well written and well acted scenes, then you can't go wrong. Like, it's
very natural, slow, but it's good and it's fun, and like, it does have a bit of that.
There is real funny moments in it, but it is it's quite hard to stomach. Like,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think
Jesus.
Someone said like In Bruges is like a really dark film with In Bruges is like a comedy with some very dark moments. This is more like a very dark film with some comedic moments.
Yeah.
And it's more just out of personality.
Yeah, it's not.
That you
Yeah.
get off them and talk.
Yeah, it's just the characters are funny. Like, there's not a really. Yeah, it's just.
And some of the stuff, like, there's a bit where he goes to a shop that's a bit away from them, and the woman's like, "And do you have any news?" And it's obviously the day before, like, but it sounds like that's when she's speaking like that. It just like sounds like old women from my way. But like, in this, and again, it's very. I'd probably know it more from Irish play, like traditional Irish plays, but it's like how news and gossip or whatever is like like it's nearly like you can buy your worth with it.
Yeah.
Because they don't have newspapers. Like, they might get newspapers from the mainland. They probably don't even get newspapers from the mainland. But there's no like Facebook or social media or anything, so they're just like, and what's happening over there? There'll usually be fucking nothing. Like, but
because it's that era as well that this is set. It's like it's very like big deal.
20s
like
or whatever. Yeah, it's very. It's just like and when I was talking to Mary and she had plenty of news. And it's just, that's a very even like because like it was partially shot in Achill Island in my home county, but then it's a fictional place, but it's just basically supposed to be one of the islands off the mainland on the west coast. But like they have that kind of talk, and the guard like I even think I saw something like there's so many actors that repeat here from the guard. Okay. Even the guard in this is also in Banshees of Inisherin, or was in the guard. Like a lot of the actors, but that the guard. No, sorry, Calgary.
Is that Barry Keoghan's dad?
Yes.
Oh, he was a scumbag, man. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, fucking Dewdrop or. Sorry, that sounds.
No.
I was saying Dewdrop. DEW drop nose. Dewdrop. That's Jesus Christ. And I said that first, like, fuck. No, I don't mean that in that sympathetic way. Because I was worried that we always say that, but oh fuck, does it? No, it doesn't, because it literally is like a dew in the morning.
Yeah.
But it's not even, it's like a little bulby, it's a tiny little nose, and it's like, he looks like Droopy from fucking the cartoons, his dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was horrible. The old woman I thought was very funny too. Just showing up and like the head on her, like, and that's even the play I was watching last night. Like, there's so much in the dialogue. It's the fucking head on him. Like, it's just a great Irish fucking turn of phrase. Like,
okay, shall we move on to our recap of 2022?
Yeah.
So best.
I mean, I feel like we've covered Banshees, and I feel like
best and worst. Yeah. So we do like we don't have to go too deep into them, but like a top 5.
Yeah.
Each of us.
Yeah, we'll do top 5 films first, and then we'll do. Well, I'm not gonna have for anything. I'm not gonna have top 5 worst.
Nah.
But
no, but just the things we're looking forward to that you felt let down by. Let's just go with that.
Yeah.
Giza.
Do you want me to start? Right. Okay. One of my favourites, which came out fairly recently, was, in fact, I'll go with that. No, do you know what? Aye, okay. Glass Onion was.
Oh yeah.
Was the opposite of a disappointment. Like, I had really low expectations going in, because for me, Knives Out was a big disappointment. The first one, Knives Out, for me, I enjoyed it. It was okay, but I was told before it was great, it was amazing, it was brilliant, it was this, it was that, and I saw it like 2 or 3 months after it came out, and I just felt pretty. It was okay, you know. It was like a 6 or 7 out of 10. Like, it wasn't anything special. So Glass Onion, I was going in with kind of, you know, the same sort of thing. I seen this in November in the cinema. I seen it when it was only in cinemas for like a week. But I'm glad I did, because it is a good look movie. The setting's really interesting. Ryan Johnson is a good writer, and I think a lot of people forget that because of what he did to Star Wars. A lot of people forget that because of The Last Jedi. But then you remember what he did with Breaking Bad before that. Like, the reason he got Star Wars was because, you know, the finales, the final episodes of Breaking Bad, he wrote some of them along with Vince Gilligan. He directed the one where Hank dies. Spoilers for Breaking Bad. You know, like, he's a very, very talented filmmaker.
Individual. Yeah.
You kind of forget that. And I've also not seen Brick. I've heard Brick's really good, his first movie.
Oh yeah, really good.
Yeah, so going into Glass Onion, I just kind of expectations, not in the toilet, but I just kind of thought, do you know what? We'll see. It does such a good job of writing these characters that. So with Glass Onion, like with Knives Out, I feel like the killer's super obvious, like right for the get go. Like in both movies, in my opinion,
I haven't seen it now, so
I won't spoil it. In my opinion, in both movies, it ends up being the most obvious candidate. That doesn't matter though. In my opinion, that doesn't, because it's not who it is; it's how they get there. You know, it's how the movie gets there is the interesting part, in my opinion. The parallels between real life characters and the kind of versions of them that we see in this movie, like you know, Edward Norton's very much Elon Musk, and Dave Bautista's very much a sort of Andrew Tate, but Andrew Tate light, because he's kind of like not really, he doesn't believe it that much, you know. But he's kind of like Andrew Tate or Joe Rogan or.
I was waiting.
No, who's Andrew Tate?
Dave Bautista. He's an online mansplainer, you know. He goes on and he basically he's taking advantage of insecure young men. He's selling supplements, he's selling dating advice, he's
Joe Rogan. Oh my god!
Right, he's doing this shit.
Dave Bautista is a parody Joe Rogan. I don't want him to see him play him in like a biopic. I just want to see him like constantly be a parody.
Well, that's pretty much in this. He wears, in the swimming pool, he's wearing nothing but his, you know, speedos, and he's still got a gun holster in his speedos. Right, he's that kind of guy. But he does it great. You know, Bautista, like, see, for a wrestler, like, he's so diverse. I think he can do comedy, he can do, like, watch Blade Runner, he can do that. You know, Bautista's great. But like a good cheer as well.
Randomly, I just saw an old wrestling match, because I think the weird thing about him was when he was in wrestling, he was just kind of known as being a bit of a boring guy. Like, he just showed up, he was massive, and he got, like, nearly instantly he was doing, like, title match, like, big, you know, he was world heavyweight kind of thing, like, in the big matches. But he just seemed to have no personality in wrestling. So I was just watching, and even he has hair in it, it's so strange.
A lot of people have been comparing for years The Rock and Dave Bautista.
Not much
I don't really see the comparison, but if you're going to compare them, Dave Bautista is so much more diverse than The Rock. Like, it's unreal. The Rock might be a bigger star, maybe. I don't know if you want to.
Rock, I think, acting, his film career will always be hampered by his ego, and he's not like I look. Maybe fucking Ernie had something similar back in the day, but. This, like, I can only take this amount of punches. I can't lose a fight. Film.
Yeah, that was...
Like, that's not interesting. And, like, Bautista's showing up, like, he's showing up in supporting roles in places.
He's
like,
building this portfolio of great roles.
Like, he's not producing shit, but he's working with, like, cream of the crop fucking directors, like, and building them up, like, and getting into great films. So, yeah.
And there's just wee throwaway lines in this that are just so good. Like... Or just like we throw away moments in Glass Onion that like when they arrive to the island, right? Ed Norton's sitting on the beach playing guitar. He's playing Blackbird by the Beatles, right? And what's her name? The kind of like Kate Moss type character. What's the actor's name? Big actor, been thinking for years. Kate Hudson. Yeah. So Kate Hudson comes off the boat and she's running. And she's like, whatever his name is, she's like cuddling and stuff. And she's like, you're serenading me with my song. And he's like, yeah, on the guitar that Paul wrote it on. And it's meant to be the guitar that McCartney wrote Blackbird on. And she's like, oh my God. And then he sees someone else, he sees one of his pals, and he just throws the guitar over his shoulder at his side and hugs his other pal. And she's like, and then the camera just cuts away. Like, it doesn't linger long enough to be like, oh, yeah. It's just a nice wee, like, comedic beat, and then it skips to something else. And then there's another clever line, and there's so much of that, and you're like, God, Ryan Johnson's just stacked this with wee bits of dialogue and wee bits of like background that, like, I don't know, and wee phrases and wee things, relationships between characters and certain looks, and it's just a really well structured, it's really well built movie. You know, it feels like a construction in terms of its cast.
Just a sidebar: is Kate Hudson
a model?
U.S. agent sister? She's her dad.
Yes, I think no. Is she?
Or is her mom her mother's Goldie Hawn?
Yeah.
Is she just with Kurt Russell?
Yeah, I think it's a different parents. Bill Hudson is her parent.
Oh, okay,
like
I can think of
he's like a stepdad kind of thing.
Okay, yeah. And
like,
then sorry.
It's very much the movie is also very much set kind of COVID and stuff. So like you've got all these.
Was it on COVID?
Have you seen it, Jerd?
No.
Right. Okay.
So is it all like the like COVID? Like they've got like.
There's some great cameos that I'm not going to spoil. There's a part where a certain actor, I won't say who it is, a certain actor shows up when they're just about to get on the boat. He's got sunglasses on and he gets out of this like fancy car and he's like, "Open your mouth, please." And they're like, "What?" And they're like, "Open your mouth." And like Catherine Hahn like pulls her mask down and he like sprays on the mouth and she's like, "Okay." She puts her mask back on. He's like, "Oh no, you don't need that anymore." She's like, "What?" He's like, "You're good, you're good." And is this a cure for COVID? Like, does he have a cure? Like, it's never explained. It's just okay. And then
that's cool.
And then
because we've seen nothing really references
then
at all. It's
weird. Too scared.
And then the actor's huge, and he's just never seen again. Like he just disappears. Like, and that's it. Like, and
we've created all these different we're the only multiverse with COVID.
There's also
strange.
There's another character that. Because that's when the movie opens, Benoit Blanc's might be bored because of COVID. He's got no cases. He's sitting in the bath playing Among Us with like Stephen Sondheim and Angela Lansbury. Right, that's like how his character's.
Angela Lansbury.
Yeah. I think it was her last role.
She...
Oh, she died. She's Murder She Wrote.
Angela fucking Lansbury.
Yeah. She's on Zoom playing Among Us with Daniel Craig in this movie. Like, honestly, the cameos are insane. Like,
he's gay. He's married. And,
yes. Did you see? Have you seen it about?
Actor?
I know the other actor's like an icon, but I don't know if you know. So I don't.
I'll leave it then. I thought I saw it. I thought it was like
again a huge actor that's just in it for like he opens the door and he's there and you're like, oh my god, and then he's just not in it again. Like that happens in this movie so much, and it's just.
I'll watch it after this, I think.
What else? There's the other thing about COVID. I don't know. It's just it's well acted. It's well written. It's funny. It's got a good pace to it. It's obvious who the killer is, but it doesn't matter. Like, you know, and there's also this weird kind of, again, I don't want to spoil too much, there's a weird kind of double performance going on. Like, see, there's a certain point in this movie where I was like, Daniel Craig's kind of bad in this, and then there's a total reason for why he's acting weird and awkward later on, and there's a total,
I
like...
wasn't paid enough.
There's another motive that you're like, that's actually... Because at first I was like, this is about a weird performance for him, and then it turns out, no, it's actually a great performance because of something you found out later. Like, it's really well structured. It's a good movie. So yeah, that's one of my favourites of the year.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's top 5, but it's up there. It's definitely worth a watch.
Yeah. Chris,
what are you thinking, man?
This is one of the... I was tossed and turning. I watched this about 2 days ago. It's called The Barbarian. Finally watched it.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
On my list there, too,
It was one of the films that I thought, wow, this is... I'm glad I never done any research. I'm glad I listened to Dan before.
Yeah.
It's really best to not know. Yeah. Because it just goes
Justin Long as well. Is it him? Is that his name, Justin Long?
Yeah, Justin Long's like...
Aye.
Spoiler.
Maybe if you haven't seen Barbarian... Skip about 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, I would say, like, as soon as we mention any of these movies, I mean, like, we might pass around spoilers, just in case.
It's better to go in with nothing.
I love how you phrased it for me, just because I'll say the ending.
Yeah. Well, just that you reminded me that I was like, well, actually, yeah.
No, it's purely because
kind of film you don't want to see.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's purely because we're talking about Barbarian, which is a type of film that you shouldn't know anything about. So, if you don't know anything,
well, maybe we shouldn't talk about it.
That was good.
If you've seen it, you know the crack. If you haven't,
sorry.
Jump back. If you haven't, fucking skip ahead because we're going to talk about it now.
Chris, what did you think of the constant progression of just going from like this night scene with Bill Skarsgård to the reveal of the basement to Justin Long come into it to the flashback to the 80s to I love how the movie just goes and goes and goes and there's so many layers.
I was waiting to figure out what was going on there, and then as soon as he went back in the house, I was like, oh no, he is not. He's not doing that, is he? And it's just so like, see, even the opening, the kind of opening scene when it's just a black neighborhood, you don't know, it's just dark, you don't know anything that there's around you. You just see this house that's lit, and then when it comes in the morning, you're like, oh my god, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Like, how did you not see this with your car lights or anything that you would have just left? Fuck. And then
it was raining. It was pushing me rain.
Oh, my ass. I would have seen that. I would have definitely seen that. But, like, yeah, it definitely felt, it was brilliant. All the way through it, I didn't feel like it. I don't know if it's the first person, but the person that's directing it's the first movie or whatever, or, like, it's the kind of the beginnings of, like, a new director-writer thing. But...
I'll look that up. Sorry, keep
because
going.
it was one of those things where like Justin Long's always in these kind of like beginning horror movies like Jeepers Creepers. He's always kind of the. I thought he was going to survive. Did anybody use think any of the characters were going to survive, or you would see any of them, or he was going to go?
When he became an X amount of prick, I was like,
he has to go. Yeah.
Generally, in that situation, like she was free and went back to save him. Like I was like, he's dead.
He's gone.
Like because he just fucking. Yeah.
What did you think about the monster? Like, what do you? Is that something that could potentially happen?
Is inbreeding a recipe for fucking giant witch sponges? Yeah, it's always a bit like sometimes it's always a bit
it's a heightened reality, but I
mean,
I don't know. It was just
US Army would want to get them right away.
But it felt.
Get fucking right in your family, and we'll be sorted.
But what I liked about it, it wasn't. Like the whole thing in my mind was like, what is barbarian? Who is a barbarian? Is it at first you think, is it Bill Skarsgård? And then you realise, okay, it's not him because he just got his head bashed into a wall repeatedly until there was mush. And then you think, oh well, it's her, it's the monster. And then you realise, no, it's not her fault. She's just been kept down there her whole life, and she doesn't know anything else. The actual monster.
The director's pretty young.
The actual monster, the
director is pretty young, but I think he used to work on like an improv thing. So a lot of people, I heard about that when I was after I watched it. Like a lot of people seem to just know him from being in this improv group. That's all how he's known.
Yeah, Waits Kids, you know.
Wait, the mother's an actual the guy that plays him.
Yeah.
No.
It's a guy that plays the mother. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Fucking hell. Oh,
yeah.
God.
Yeah.
No. So you were saying it's no Jet. I thought it was Tess that was the barbarian. It's not Tess.
No, I think
the girl. Why is she the barbarian?
Yeah, why is she the barbarian?
I don't know, like, because she's entering her domain. She's entering the
domain. It's Frank. It's Richard Brake. He's the one that was capturing all the women and starting this. Like it was him that was, and then when he's still in the basement, you know, as an old man and stuff, and then like God, this movie's like
videotapes. Oh, that was that was.
Although I must laugh. I did laugh because it really reminded me of the bit in Always Sunny where Dennis opens his drawer and he's got all the tapes with all the women's names. Pure version nightmare Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And Courtney was like, "What are you laughing at?" And I was like, "Nothing." I was like, "It's Dennis Reynolds."
Oh fuck. But, man, it showed. I thought there was because see when I think it was one of the when Tess escaped, they said, "Oh, she's not the only the worst thing down there." I know they were probably talking about him, but I was like, is there more? Is there more?
Yeah, I thought that. Yeah. Is there another monster? Is there another? Yeah, I thought that.
Yeah, but
it was him.
Fucking the traditional. Definition of barbarian is a member of a people not belonging to one of the great civilizations, Greek, Roman, Christian. So it could be the woman. Also.
Could be.
Well, not Tess. That makes no sense. No. The monster. It could be the monster woman or both of them could be classed as barbarian.
I associate it with like a brutality and a ruthlessness and a evilness, you know. And I think that's him. That's Frank.
Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, you got to give Frank like props, man. He tunneled down.
He was wasted. He should have been a construction man. He should have dug tunnels for the war.
Like, he made good constructions. It was good. It
was after Hugh Hefner.
He got banged for his book on that property.
He dug all the Playboy tunnels, and then Hugh Hefner sacked him, and that's how this happened. Yeah,
that was like, see when you actually understand it, you're like, there's no way that that's a whole fantasy. How the fuck did he dig all that?
And stay down there all the time? It was.
But it is that moment.
It was very unsettling as a build, I must say.
It's that moment though where Justin Long sees this room with the bed, with the blood on the bed and the video camera,
and he just
goes up and gets measuring tape. Like that moment was just great, you know. And it was one of those moments in the cinema you're laughing and you're like, oh, I should be laughing at this, but you know, it's the way that Justin Long's performance, the way he acts it. And then, he goes upstairs to Google. That's what he does. He goes upstairs and Google's like price per square foot. And then he grabs the measuring tape. And then he goes down to then he finds the other bit of the basement. And then they did that really effective thing where obviously the end of the tape's hooked on somewhere and he's got the roll and he's going down. And then, you know, he feels something tugging at the tape. And I love that first person shot of he lifts the knife, and it's like a first-person shot looking in the dark corridor, and he's pointing the knife and he's holding the tape. It's just good cinematography and a nice kind of sense of like, I don't know. It never felt. It felt low budget, but it didn't feel cheap. It felt real. All the locations felt like you were there with the character. You know, it was.
Did you feel the police were real? Do you think that would actually happen if you were to do that in real life? Like the police just kind of ignored her?
Probably in Detroit. Also, she was a woman of color as well. So I feel like that was an aspect because she wasn't white. Yeah, it was probably.
I think one of the cops was of color though too, wasn't he?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. In America, that doesn't count for anything.
Like, do you think the actual creature design was scary? Like, do you think after looking at it, do you think it was? I thought it was terrifying. Like, I thought it was.
Yeah. I
mean, saw it the first time in the torch, and I was like, oh fuck! I paused.
What is this? Yeah, the way she's coming down the court. Yeah.
Had a wank. Relieve some tension.
Open up another tab.
I don't choose your end. It's not. I'm not going to be able to get past that. It was great. So, if you just saw her walking down the street, you'd be freaked out. And your man, the homeless guy, was like, "She ain't never coming here."
I know. Like, what made you think that?
Rips his hair off.
Why did you think that, mate?
That was a great moment. Like.
Just beats him to death with an arm.
See when you first saw the homeless guy, I was terrified. See that whole like him chasing into the house to try and warn her. I was like, oh fuck, that's the baddie. Oh man, it was.
It does a good job of just building tension.
It was a great film.
Yeah.
Even that opening act with her and Bill Skarsgård, like the tension in that sequence, where he's like. You can go for a shower, and she's like, and I'm going to open this bottle of wine, but I'm going to do it in front of you so you'd know I'm not doing anything to it. And there was just he was being nice.
But see, I remember you saying that, Dan, before I saw it. But and I've seen other people say it too. Like he's actually, he's trying his best to not give her any fear. Yeah. But maybe he's trying too hard, and not trying too hard, but realistically, if you write down what he wrote, what he said on paper, everything on his side, he's just trying to make her feel comfortable.
But I think it's done a good job.
Everything's logical.
It's done a good job though of putting you in the position of a vulnerable woman in a situation where she doesn't know what's going on. And you're kind of right there with her.
Yeah, it's awkward at first, but there was a little bit of there seemed to be a bit of flirtation with them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Before the end of it. Yeah.
After a while, there was a wee.
Yeah. And then his whole thing of I'm just going to keep going down this big black hole. That's the thing. Most horror films, you're just don't go down the place that looks really scary, and there's a big hole, and then you don't know what's down there.
See, the weird thing is, did you have an idea of what opened the door in the first night? Remember, is she the test?
It was her.
That was her. Yeah, she was up. What's
going out?
I reckon.
Yeah. No, I remember the bedroom door was open, and she thought it was somebody else.
She just walked back, the fucking
the mother
woman walked, she was just going out, and I guess the door, that can happen sometimes, doors can open. I don't know, she might have popped her head in.
Yeah, had a look, yeah.
I thought it was Frank. I thought he came up and go, but he's...
Nah, he's bedridden.
No. Did they not kind of, I thought they even, showed a flashback shot or something of her. I think they might have showed it.
I love that shot. Talk about iconic kind of shots for this year. See that shot of her and coming out the window, the low down window, and stretching out, and then going back into the darkness.
Fucking terrible.
What a beautiful shot that was! And the way the camera's panning back, and she's almost grabbing her ankles, and oh man, what a moment!
There's nearly a base. It's kind of like of mice. Not that I vaguely remember reading it when I was young, but of mice and men.
Yeah, like Lenny.
Doesn't he kill a girl by accident?
He strangles her, I
think. He's trying to just pet her hair or something he does it with bunnies. Yeah, and there's something about the woman obviously when she meets when the woman meets fucking Skarsgård, she just smashes his head into pieces. But there's a certain kind of couple of moments where she's with the other two, and she's not actively trying to hurt them all the time. But if they anger her, she will hurt them, or the bit where she's fucking feeding
Justin Long
with the bottle,
the But like, you kind of got the sense that when she was cradling him and stuff, like she could easily just like get angry and fucking like snap his neck or something.
Well,
yeah. So, but it was an interesting part of it that she wasn't actively trying to kill them all the time.
And also the very end of the movie where after she splits Justin Long's head open, when Tess put her down, it was a mercy kill. Like it wasn't like yes, the monster's dead. It was like this person.
Yes.
I was like this person deserves to be.
Yeah. So you said that. Yeah.
I was like,
why? How did she kill her? She shot her.
Shot in the head. Yeah, just put her up. But it was. I didn't feel like a victory. You know, it felt like putting her out of misery. It didn't feel like. Nobody felt good about it. Like
because see when she.
I think she knew well enough to know. Like I don't know.
Because she never reacted when she put the gun to her head. Like usually, I thought, she's snapped, like she's done now. But maybe she knew life not worth living. But it was
Also, she did just take the full like brunt of Tess falling off that tower. So maybe she was just like kind of gubbed, you know.
That was a dick move as well with Justin Long.
Yeah, he's a total scumbag, man. Right to the end, he's just a horrible person.
Horrible guy. Oh man,
yeah.
That was
what a film. That was a great film. Good shout, Chris.
That was one of my films.
Jerd, what have you got, man?
Lovely man, Jerd. His forehead on screen just zoomed in.
I was actually just looking because there was a couple of comic things that I took snaps of, but we're talking about films, so I'll come back to that maybe. Just a very funny moment from like a Christmas. The whole comic where Rhino is just pretending to be Santa, and he likes all the attention he gets, and then Hulk comes up fighting him, and this little girl comes up, and she's like, "You're not really fighting." And he's like, "No, we're buddies." And they just kind of stop. It's nice. It's really nice. So yeah, Barbarian was on my list. Sticking with her.
I love that.
And I double this the view, the world view. Sticking with her. Pearl and X, which I keep forgetting came out the same year.
Yes,
Pearl and X.
We've talked about both of them before. Have you seen both now, Chris?
No, I have not. No.
But please. Alex. I think we were probably talking about it last time we were on too, and it's probably when I watched them, so we don't have to go spend too long on this. Book great.
Yes.
While we're watching.
Yes.
Solid.
Yeah.
I don't think.
I can't wait for Maxine.
What? There's another one coming out in the same.
Next year, yeah, they're doing a sequel, Maxine. It's about
Maxine.
Yeah, it's about the character from X, Mia Goth character, getting away
from
going to Hollywood. It's like a sequel to X.
Okay, very good.
I know that brutal. Like I've mentioned that before. It's a pure brutal film. X. It's like a.
There's moments in it. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but like it's a horror. Like
exactly. Yeah, it's like is it okay? Fuck.
X is a love letter to.
But to me, like by brutal, there is some brutal violence.
There's
but like, it's not bad. It's very good.
Yeah.
Like.
But there's.
And yeah, look, we talked about them. Like probably, I think you talked about them when you first seen them. I talked about them when I seen them. So
X is just a fantastic love letter to classic horror, like Texas Chainsaw and stuff. And Peril's just a brilliant character study of how that character came to be that way.
Pearl elevates it, I think. Pearl's more of like something. It's nearly like Oscar bait, but for horror.
And that's the thing. Well, that's what I was just going to say. Like, there's not been any Oscar announcements yet, but for a fact, Pearl's not going to get a nod. Mia Goth's not going to get a nod. But if anyone deserves it for a horror movie, it's 100%. That last monologue in Peril is some of the best acting I've seen in 2023, like 2022.
It's funny, I have no memory of it.
Honestly,
you were talking about it last time. I was like, I think it was even more recently I'd seen it. I was like,
you should just YouTube that scene.
She's crying. She's weird makeup and stuff.
It's when she's sitting.
Or that's another part.
Yeah, no, that's before that. She's sitting at the table with her. Is it her sister-in-law? It's her sister-in-law. I think she's sitting at the table with the blonde girl. And she basically just explains everything she's done and why she's done it. And oh my god, man, like it's incredible, like just insane.
Yeah,
it's an unbroken shot, and it's just.
I don't remember.
Oh Jesus Christ! It's
it really brings it down to just the fucking acting and this fucked up character.
Yeah, it's like to me, her performance in that movie is up there with Toni Collette and like Hereditary. Like it's just next level, man. But yeah. So is it back to me? Back to me.
It
do you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and take the best superhero movie of the year, because that's what I was thinking. I was like, what's the best superhero movie I've seen this year?
Okay.
It's got to be the Batman.
Ah,
Yeah. It's on my
That was
list
on my
too.
list.
It's on my list too.
The Batman was. It was proof to me. It was proof that you can still do Batman and not be stale, and do a take on the world that's not the furthest away from, like, Nolan's movies were crime movies, but you take it to a kind of more noir place, a more kind of detective place.
A little bit of the pulpy superhero part to it too. Like, it's, well, noir is pulp, I guess.
But it's more willing to do the kind of more, maybe not supernatural, but it fits in line with, like, what I love for Batman comics. Like, my favourite Batman comics are like Hush and Long Halloween. And those are stories that feature characters like Solomon Grundy, who's this like undead zombie, but they also feel like realistic gangster stories. You know, about there's a bit of conspiracy to it. There's a bit of, like, obviously it's the Batman is very much based on, like, the Zodiac killer. Which the Zodiac movie directed by David Fincher. This feels a lot like a David Fincher movie. Me and Chris did an episode earlier this year where we talked about fan theories, and there's a big fan theory that one of my favourite fan theories we spoke about in that episode was that the movie Seven is set in Gotham City. There's a bit of that going on here. Like, this kind of feels like the city from a Fincher movie like Seven or Fight Club. And then there's also the thing where it feels a bit like Taxi Driver with Scorsese. It's got that vibe to it as well. It feels like such a lived-in.
Colin Farrell.
There's a richness to it. Yeah, you've got, again, Colin Farrell just having a great year between.
Most of the Transformers. Yeah, and I don't know, was it this year too, but there was another kind of like indie sci-fi thing.
I can't
remember what it's about. Yeah, it's like, I don't know, set in the far future kind of thing, or distant future or whatever.
And then Paul Dano was also knocking out of the park because the Riddler.
Yeah, and apparently his comic he did an origin comic for his Riddler, so it's quite good. Yeah. You know that if you read comics.
That is one comic that came out this year that I'm interested in.
Last year, Dan. Last
year, thanks.
It's all over now. Fucking your promises are useless.
But
it's even over now while we're recording.
Yeah, it's long gone. But the Batman was great.
Is there any way for that? I don't know if there's any headroom for the future of that. They've no said Batman 2's coming. He's not even started writing, has he?
Did they not announce it?
No. What I heard was that Matt Reeves wants to do a trilogy. He wants to do 3 movies.
Yeah.
I also heard that the next villain they're interested in doing is Mr. Freeze.
Okay, yeah.
And then the only other thing that I've heard since all the DC reset, James Gunn shit that's happening, this has been left alone. This hasn't been including that. This is still continuing as its own separate thing. So,
I thought there was a very light, we're going to do a second one, and then there was a more kind of substantial, oh no, we are doing a second one.
Yeah, no, there is. I think it's going to be a while. I think they're saying like 2025, 2024.
Yeah.
A while down the road.
Yeah. Wow. I think what would make this universe kind of complete is it'd be very interesting. Like, I think even maybe it was Pattinson.
Yeah, Pattinson.
Was saying that I think he might have been him. It's like, it'd be interesting if we got Robin, but I want him to be a kid. I don't want him to explain to another guy. That's interesting. Like, if they could bring Robin in a way where, like, I don't know, he's going to die in, in a real gnarly way. Like, well, he's got cancer, so he just is going to do this until he dies or something. Like, that might be a bit too edgelord, but it'd be interesting, like, or to bring supernatural elements in or sci-fi elements in, but bring them in as realistically as possible.
Well, the other
that would be interesting.
The other rumor about the sequel is that they're looking at Giancarlo Esposito for Mr. Freeze. Apparently, Giancarlo has had conversations with both Marvel and DC. The rumor is either Professor X or Magneto for Marvel and Mr. Freeze for DC. Which I would love. I mean, I know he's everywhere, but I don't care. Like, I'll take Giancarlo and the boys
for a reason. Like,
See, the only thing is, you've got the counterpart for Marvel. You would probably say you've got a career here for 10 years if you join us with them.
But he's only going to if he does Mr. Freeze, he's only doing one.
Exactly, he's only doing one film.
Cameo on the third, and this is probably I can't see this being more than 3 films.
No, I know. So
also,
this will be a trilogy.
Talk about Barry Keoghan as the Joker. He's also going to make another appearance as well down the road.
Well, yeah, because I kind of forgot. He wasn't just in the deleted scene. He's in
he's in the
credits
actual
scene.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a
Did you think that was like,
definite,
see, after the time was rested, do you think that was cheap putting that in, or what? Do you think it was fine?
I don't think they needed that.
Back and forth with it. Yeah.
I don't think they needed
I think someone was like saying that the Weekly Planet boys were like, well, if they left the middle scene in, you'd be expecting him to show up at the end of the film for the rest of the film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So even though like the post credit scene wasn't great, it's a bit better.
It's a bit better with it.
I don't know. There's arguments for both. I think, it seems a bit it comes across a bit tacked on as a post credit scene.
That was the part of the. That was the one part of the movie that a bit on a lower level. I feel like the rest of the movie was tight, felt well written, well constructed, and then that bit did feel a bit like fan servicey. Just a wee bit like too far.
Yeah, it was a bit too much, and then like, I don't know. It begins to be interesting to see it like edited into the other film. But it's kind of a little bit. Even regardless, like he could be in the second film, but it just seems a little bit. You don't have to introduce Joker very first film.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the Dark Knight, the Nolan series didn't, so it doesn't really.
Well, no one.
No harm,
I feel like no one did.
There's a lot of characters that, like, you think about it.
At the end, the Joker.
It's Riddler, Falcone, Joker, Catwoman,
Penguin,
like in the first film. That's decent.
Yeah, that's enough.
Yeah, like you get any? Is there any hints to anyone else? No.
No, I think that was it.
There's no proto version of someone else showing up in it.
No, and Harvey Dent's not been mentioned, but I think they're going to do that. I think they're going to do that as well. I can see that coming. Because especially with the Falco and Maroni stuff, that leads to, in the comic, that leads to, him becoming Two-Face. So,
well, they would have to be Bruce's pal, would it not be? Like, but
they might not. They might not have to. Like they could, but that's the other thing I'm excited about, because that was the one kind of criticism people had of this movie, was that Pattinson was a great Batman, but not a great Bruce Wayne, because he was like basically like Kurt Cobain. Like he was this introverted, like not that Kurt Cobain was really like that, but the perception of Kurt Cobain was kind of what this character was being.
But we were. I was listening back to one of our episodes before. Because I don't know, vain or whatever. And when I listen to something that I haven't heard in a while, it's like listening to it for the first time, so it's even less like I actually am speaking in it. But you pretty much called the situation with Bruce Wayne that like he just hasn't, he doesn't have an idea at this point in his life that he can use it as a thing. And then that literally, like fucking Alfred pretty much says that exact word, that phrase to him.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see it.
Well, in the comics, there's always been this thing where like Batman is the actual guy and Bruce Wayne is the character. So that character hasn't been constructed yet by this version of Batman. He's not came up with that persona yet.
To the full extent, like,
and that
his Bruce Wayne is at this stage where he's essentially Batman now, so he needs to actually recreate.
I think
Bruce
seeing
Wayne
him coming into that and becoming the kind of playboy, whatever, show off, type character to throw people off, I think that'll be interesting to see that. I think that gives Pattinson room as an actor as well. It builds, so I don't know. Yeah, Batman was great.
Next one, Chris.
Oh, am I going next? This might be controversial. I don't know if any of you have seen it, but Avatar: The Way of Water. I fucking love this film. Like, I was really like underwhelmed with the first one. I was like, oh, it's okay, it's good. But I really enjoyed this one. Like, this one was fun.
Do you know what? I'm kind of there with you. And I kind of feel the way I feel about Glass Onion. Again, expectations were pretty low. Like I didn't care much, and I really enjoyed it. And I thought it was. I'm excited to see. I can't believe that I'm excited to see Avatar 3. Like, I did not expect to be at that stage after watching this, but that's how it got me. So yeah, it's great.
It was very family orientated and stuff, like your message of like stick together and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, that's nice.
with our weird connecting body cables.
Yeah, no, that
together.
Put it under the water. That is weird.
Have you seen it, Jerd?
Oh, it's going into the water now.
Yeah.
Oh, the water adapter.
Have you seen it, Jerd?
No. I guess that my time is limited to see it as it's supposed to be seen, because unlike other films,
it's gone.
It's only supposed to be shown 3D. It's gone already.
No.
Don't see it 3D. Jesus, no. Don't see it 3D.
What?
Don't see it 3D.
It'll be a waste of money.
Yes.
Don't see it in 3D.
No, don't see anything in 3D.
Is that the whole point of Avatar films? Or is that just the first one?
Yeah, that was...
Are they not pushing this in like fucking IMAX 3D, no?
Yeah, see it in IMAX, sure, see it in IMAX, but don't see it in 3D.
But is it not supposed to be?
Whenever I have
the whole Avatar
I have a complete like
he's
a
got-
version
he's
of
on a
everything
rant
3D,
here.
man. Like I can't. If I see a movie in 3D, I feel like I then need to go and watch it again to actually see what happens because I'm
Yeah,
by all
but
this shit
just what I mean is that not the
hate 3D
specific,
movies.
like the first one came out, it was specifically meant to be viewed in 3D. Is
Yeah,
this not?
yeah, because
Yeah,
Avatar
yeah.
1 is responsible for all that garbage we got for the next 5 years after.
But there was
Like,
always
come and
3D.
see
There was 3D
Transformers
in
in
the
3D. Like, no, Michael Bay, you're not James Cameron. Stop. Like,
But there was 3D before James Cameron. Like
There was shit.
it goes up and down.
Yeah.
But still, is this Wave Water not specifically meant to be watched in 3D? That's not the point of it.
don't think
Like
so.
the first one.
I don't think so. No.
I don't.
I,
Are they just more? They're not focusing on 3D as much in this.
Nah, it's a technical reason of the bar, but it's not anything like. It's more just about the visuals. You know, I'd say see it on,
Oh, okay.
but
just
I
assumed.
wouldn't give a shit about seeing it in 3D. No, I don't think you need to. Absolutely not.
I watched that on my 12-year-old Sony TV there. I actually am thinking of getting a new one.
Just be very close to it, and you'll get 3D. Like when the water splashes.
Yeah, I don't like that fucking thing is doing a mighty job. Like even it still plays the PlayStation 5. Well, I think Miles is the only PlayStation 5 version of a game I actually have now, apart from Resident Evil. But like, it's grand. Sometimes it's one of those TVs where sometimes the noise the TV is making because it's trying to work is louder than it means you have to turn up the sound more. My parents' TV is not as old as mine. It's way shitter. Like the louder you turn it up, you hear the TV working harder to fucking make it loud, and like the sound levels aren't coming out evenly. Still not really arse. I know a lot of people are saying it's actually good when you see it, but
Have you not watched the first one? Did you watch the first Avatar?
yeah. When it came out, I saw it once.
I would definitely give it a shot to watch it because it's not as
much
I
better
don't
than
even
one.
think you've got like
My
the
opinion.
same characters like Jake and all that are not really the main. It's more the children.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like you're diving into a more. You're exploring
Water.
You're diving into water. Like that was interesting as well. Like they actually done it. They filmed it underwater, which was an interesting thing as well. I was like, how the hell did they do that? That's a lot of nonsense. But
It's like we were doing our holding our breath attempt.
but like they done it for like. I remember watching one of the actors on like Jimmy Kimmel or something like that, and he said he was just under the water the whole day because they came down with oxygen and they just kind of regave you it. I was like, there's no way.
Oh, that would fuck. Well, I can't
That
swim.
doesn't sound fun.
I would be dead. But anyway, that would fuck with my
You
brain.
get used to it maybe, but it was.
But the pressure on your body, that doesn't sound healthy.
Well, it's
No.
James Cameron. He's going to.
I know he doesn't care, does he?
Yeah.
He's just abuses his actors. Yeah.
It just doesn't sound. I don't know. I think that sounds like the kind of thing. Even if I didn't have to swim, I just have to stay in water all day. I'd probably have
Doesn't
to
sound
panic.
pleasant. No.
And your skin, man, geez, you must have to be moisturized. Like,
you're
like you're prune after a fucking half an hour in the bath. So how does that work?
just more of a prune.
You just like a big bump.
I'm probably in CGI costumes and stuff too. So
Aye,
like the mocap suits
Aye.
or whatever. So like, or some version of it.
some waterproof.
Um,
But I would recommend it. It's definitely worth a watch. There's a weird bit with Sigourney Weaver. Like you realise that she's younger in this, and it's like, oh
Yeah.
okay.
cloned or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
The-
Even the actors, I didn't see like Winslet. I didn't know who she was.
Yeah.
yeah, I think I seen what her Avatar character looked like, and you wouldn't tell it was her.
No,
like.
I didn't know that was her. The whole movie. Because I was like, I'm sure Kate Winslet is on this. There's like a door that Jack's supposed to jump onto, or something. Some reference to Titanic, since James done that as well. But no, that was. But the only thing it really turned me at the end was the villain. I was like, there's no way we're going to be using this villain again. All right.
Yes,
okay.
we are.
There we go.
Do you know what it does kind of feel like? Cameron is just like he's got this blueprint for this movie where it's like
He doesn't care.
Stephen Lang's a bad guy, Jake's always a good guy. They fight for a bit, and he's just made the same movie 4 times, but the technology's just going to get better every time. Kind of how it feels. I don't know.
Now you are Jake Sully.
I wonder what the next one will be like. What else is there? There's water, earth, and fire. That's the Avatar kind of cartoon. Earth, fire, water. air.
I heard the next one is supposed to be might be something to do with a volcano.
Yeah, ash or
The
something.
volcano people.
Well, that just brings us in the fire, which is a kind of an interesting way to look at film production. If he's literally going, what's the first? Is the first one air?
Forest.
I'd say it's
air,
earth.
kind of
Yeah, it's
thing.
like earth, innit?
Earth.
I'd say it's like jungle, like earth. Yeah.
So like, if he's using that as a fucking just a like, even it's just interesting to like, okay, well look, that's my very short guiding night. Let's build a film around this, and we're going to bring in the visual elements of that. But also, let's have the story work around, and like we're following a kind of like basically a roadmap that's set out by life and fucking thing. You know, it's like it's an interesting way. Like you'd have that say like for creative writing sometimes, or for theater pieces, where like part of your creation is this. You know, you get a prompt and you have to follow. You have to create something around that specific prompt because it's like, you know, any story where absolutely anything can happen. Boring, but the more specific and natural it is, or the more restraint you have on the creation, sometimes it can benefit because you're working against that constraint and it's guiding you and stuff. So I guess, but at the same time, this is what I'd see as roller coaster movies. Well, I guess Marvel films are too, but they're just not as good.
It's also you see, like, he's not brought out a film in 10 years' time, and it still rakes in a lot of money. So his name is quite hefty. Like I think it's like
it's weird.
It's
like a certain part of him. It's like a certain part of him going away and not making films made this more
impactful,
desirable.
Yeah, people crave what they don't have. Like, yeah, totally.
I would just prefer to see him do straight up sci-fi. Like, well, I guess it's technically is, but not big blue people.
But that's the issue with Marvel is oversaturation. But yeah. Anyway.
Well, no, more like there's other robots than Terminators. So.
Jerd,
or aliens, or there's other aliens.
What's your
you have to just do them ones.
What's your next pick, Jerd?
Nope.
Oh, this alien.
Yeah.
Space.
One of my favorite things, because I got started it one night and then to finish it another night. One of my favorite things that still stands out to me when I think of it just now, and I was like, what's the guy's name?
Jordan Peele.
Nope.
Daniel Kaluuya.
OJ. Daniel Kaluuya.
Kaluuya.
One more time.
Kaluuya.
Daniel Kaluuya. I don't think I said that right, but his character is called OJ, and it's like a 2-second thing. But the first time he introduces himself, I thought that was fucking hilarious and it's really smart. Because like in the second, you're like, oh, he's about that age that he was obviously called OJ after OJ. That OJ became OJ.
Yeah,
and. And it's just like the other guy doesn't even say much. He's like, "Oh, Jay?" He's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "All right." I like that. I just thought that was fucking super smart. Is spooky, horror, smart,
sci-fi.
Cool.
Yeah,
a lot of shit in it. I don't think there's much to say about it. Really, it's very fucking smart. It was a nice change of pace. Just go, oh, that's not a fucking ship. That's an animal.
Yeah,
or a living creature. I thought that was very fucking smart. Yeah, just solid.
Yeah, it was up there for me. I was possibly going to be my next pick. It was between that and a few others. But it's well written. Jordan Peele was a very clever director, and it's nice to see that Get Out wasn't a fluke, because I really enjoyed Us, but it's nowhere near on the level of Get Out.
Did he write that though in the same way, same level?
I believe so.
He did. Is he not more of a producer? I just want to be. I'm not fully sure on that.
He did write and direct Us.
Oh, he did the same. Like he did all the same jobs that he did on thing. Look, it wasn't the lore in that was a bit stupid and
it's not. I listen. It's not a bad movie. Lupita Nyong'o's performance is incredible.
It's kind of satirical, so like it doesn't really have
points to it that are highlights, and Weston Duke's great in it as well. But it's nice to see that he's getting more to give, and I also wonder where's he going to go next in terms of his horror, because he's kind of doing different genres, you know, and it's like this is his kind of sci-fi love letter to like Spielberg and stuff, you know. So is he going to go like exorcism next? Is he going to go like ghosty? Is he going to go zombie? Is he going to go, you know? I don't know, like werewolves. Like what's he going to do next?
But see,
do you know
it's going to be Daniel? What the fuck his name?
Kaluuya.
He's going to be using. That's like his Harrison Ford kind of thing.
He actually described him. He said like Daniel Kaluuya is like to him what De Niro is to Scorsese. He's like, if I'm Scorsese, he's De Niro. Like, yeah, he's just muse, yeah.
And they're buddies.
He's great. Daniel Kaluuya is great, so why not? Like, if you've got an actor like that you're friends with that is willing to star in your movies, like, use him 100%. Like,
yeah. I must go back and what was the civil rights person he played?
Oh, the Black Panther movie.
I think it was, yeah.
Christ, what was that film called? That was a good movie.
Let's go back and watch it. I heard of it at the time. Just never got around to
that was
watch
great.
It. And,
that was last year. Yeah, that was really good.
He's a very our buddy Daniel. He's I don't know, something very direct about him.
I also like how one minute he was a small British actor, wasn't really like you go back and watch old Harry Enfield sketches. He's in like old Harry Enfield sketches for like the night. Like,
was he in Skins? No.
No, Judas and the Black Messiah. That was the name of the Black Panther movie. I think. That was great.
I can remember his kind of like his speech. And then,
he was in Skins.
Oh,
he was in Skins.
Ah, okay, yeah. Second season, wasn't it?
But yeah, he's just.
Or no, wasn't the OG crowd?
He went from like that, and then he done a Black Mirror episode, and then he was just a huge star for like Get Out.
Fucking crazy, like we've already talked about Nicholas Hoult from the last.
Yeah.
Like that is a lot of fucking.
A lot of big stars, yeah.
There's the other guy who was in like the second batch.
And what's his name? The other guy that's really good at some stuff just now. He's in a show, Dev Patel. But no, Jack O'Brien, is it? He's great as well.
Yeah, I think he was like a really dodgy
Jack O'Connell. Yeah. He's great. Yeah, brilliant.
Was he in that film? What was the one? Star. It was like something about a prison film in the UK. It was fucking horrific.
Right.
I don't know if it was him though. Starred Up or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it was great. No, it was solid. Chris.
Yeah.
What do you have, man? What's left in your? Or is it me again? Oh, sorry. Is it me again? I'm passing. Okay, I'm between a few. I'm going to leave the obvious one out there. I'm going to go with Boiling Point. Boiling Point.
Oh yeah.
Boiling Point came out.
We both sounded like kettles boiling there.
Boiling Point came out very, very early in the year, and
yeah, that's like January.
I've not watched it since, but I feel like I really should because they're doing a TV show. They're doing a sequel. Okay. Stephen Graham's going to be in it again, which kind of says some things about the ending of the movie, which were kind of left ambiguous, without giving too much away. But Boiling Point was just such a brilliant exercise in building tension, building stress, building just a showcase of incredible acting, and like obviously it's like a play, and there's also a tight structure to it because it's all one shot, it's all one sequence, but it also feels super off the cuff and ad-libbed at certain points. It feels like a dance almost with the choreography, and then when you watch the behind the scenes of the cameraman,
bit of the old cha-cha-cha.
Like the cameraman had like a rig. I think it was also the director, also really young guy. I was expecting this to be like an experienced guy. See the actual Philip Barantini, he goes back years with Stephen Graham. He's like ages with Stephen Graham. You know, he's a bit more experienced. But see the other guy that's kind of the lead cinematographer, he's about like my age, like he's not even 30, and he's doing this incredible film. Like he's got this like rig, it's like a big rubber ring around his waist, and it's got like the arms of the camera lifting up. So he's kind of holding the camera here, right? And see watching the behind the scenes, like there's obviously it's a real kitchen. They filmed in a real kitchen, so there's like all these like stoves and units and actual like hot food being cooked. There's actual like pretend customers cutting about and stuff, and this guy with the camera is just cutting in between them all, and he's obviously having to capture certain parts of the action and not just have it look like it's been filmed on a phone, you know. And it genuinely feels like a dance, like a choreography.
Do you use it kind of like a dolly or a track at a certain point?
So yeah, there's certain parts that it fixes onto, and there's also certain parts where I remember the thing we went to see was a Q&A. So after they were talking about it, there were certain parts of the kitchen he couldn't fit through a certain way, so he would have to he couldn't go through it like that, so he would have to turn and shoot that way. But Stephen Graham would be over here, so you'd have to like find something else to focus on. It didn't seem like forced. Do you know what I mean? There was so much thinking
to
it,
and
it's just that film was a masterpiece. Boiling Point. If you've not seen it,
I know I must be forgetting films I've seen during the year, especially when you mentioned that, and I'm like, oh fuck, that was this year?
And it's only like an hour and a half because it's so intense.
Yeah,
that's all you really need.
My favorite type of film.
Yeah, in and out.
90 minutes is the fucking sweet spot, especially like depending on the time, you can get 2 films in one evening. It's like,
yeah. Boiling Point was great. Love that movie. Stephen Game's also one of the best actors working at the minute. I think he's just. I think he's just incredible.
Fucking solid,
he's so good, man.
Creeped up. Like he was always kind of like a side actor, and now he's becoming a lead.
Oh yeah, he's chipped away for a long time.
I consider him like a fairly when you see him. Okay, this is going to be. You get that sense straight away. This is going to be good.
Yeah, he's a mark.
I think he's had that vibe for a couple of years now. What was the thing about him? He looks like the guy who won the first Big Brother, Craig, the Scottish guy, isn't he? I think he's something like wearing some. I think it was could have been on the set of some film where everybody just showed up with the Craig t-shirts.
Also, this movie it was his own. This is his own production company that did Boiling Point, production company. So this is the first film produced by him. And now, as I said, he's done a deal with the BBC for a series. But I mean, you go back and you watch This Is England, and you go back and you watch even the old Arctic Monkeys music videos, The Sun Goes Down and stuff, and he's incredible in those. There's a short film that goes along with that as well that he's in, and he's been working for years. And
This Is England film, that was fucking great. I never really watched this show. Wasn't there something about him in the show? Is the show set in? I don't know.
The show is set in.
His character gets out of the prison.
It's set in different decades, yeah. So I think he kind of comes in and out. I've not seen all of the.
Look that different.
I've only seen bits of it.
He gets. Yeah, I think so. In the This Is England film, I think that kid who he well, he doesn't kill because he's in the TV show and stuff. He gets out of prison and that kid's waiting for him outside.
Yeah,
and he basically tracks him down. He gets him, brings him off somewhere in a car, and just seems like he's going to get killed. But sorry, it's probably a spoiler for This Is England. But that scene felt like it was in the present day, whereas the show felt like it was in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, but This Is England '89 was the. This Is England was the film, and then it was the season.
Yeah. So they do This Is England. Yeah, it goes different years into it. So it's 82, 89, and 90 something into it is the last one. Yeah, okay. I've not seen all of it, but yeah.
I don't know. Yeah,
but it's great.
Yeah,
and Stephen Game's great, and Boiling Point's great. So check it
out. He's the England's fucking Rob De Niro kind of thing.
Well, he was in The Irishman with De Niro.
He was good in The Irishman.
Yeah.
He's great. He's just
Movie was shit.
Couldn't praise him higher. Yeah, it's fucking long out.
I like Irish.
We go on to my next one then. I know there's more I'm missing.
You've got one in the barrel, man. Go for it.
Everywhere, Everything, All at Once.
Oh,
I knew someone was going to say
it.
I knew someone was going to say it.
You what?
He knew somebody was going to say it. He said he knew someone was going to say it.
I'm just saying I knew someone was going to bring it up. That's why.
Oh right, yeah. I knew somebody who saw it.
I didn't.
Really?
See, the reason though I was waiting for somebody else to do it was because I enjoyed the film, but I didn't feel the connection that I feel like a lot of other folk have felt with it. So I would feel weird bringing it up as one of my favourites. Do you know what I mean? Not that I didn't.
Is that because you have a cold heart?
I thought it was great. I thought it was creative. I thought it was well acted. I was expecting. My expectations were so high. I was expecting one of the greatest films ever made.
People were saying
I was so hyped up, and I was expecting the Back to the Future of this generation or the Matrix of this generation. That's what I was. And it's great, but it's not that.
But did you think that not knowing it was a dramedy?
No, I knew.
Did you? Did you just think it'd be the dramedy version of?
I knew. I basically that. Yeah, because I knew it was a Daniels, so I knew it was the guys that did Swiss Army Man. So I knew it was that sort of vibe.
I keep forgetting that.
I was kind of. Yeah, I don't know, but I really enjoyed it. Michelle Yeoh's incredible, and Daniel, I can't remember the guy's name, but the guy that played Dan Kwan, is it? Him from Indiana Jones. No, sorry, Ki Hui. It's Daniel Kwan directed it. It's Ki Hui Kwan was the name of the actor in it.
And there was another Daniel who directed it.
Yes, Daniel Scheinhardt.
So they're not brothers. Well, that would make sense.
No, they're just both called Daniel.
Same name.
Yeah. And
I remember saying that there was a guy. Fuck it, he's never listened to this. There was a guy I used to work with. He was his surname was Dunn, and I used to know Duns from Castlebar, but this is in Galway. I was like, you lived any Duns in Castlebar? It's like, no. I was like, is there any Kevins down there? It's I thought it was a funny kind of thought.
So why is it one of your
Huh?
What was it about it that made it like so great to you?
I think I probably have to rewatch it again, but like it's the kind of film that as soon as I saw it, I was like, "This is the type of film I could watch again."
Yeah.
It kind of to me, it just kind of felt like an instant classic kind of thing.
Was it happy?
Yeah,
Is it a happy film?
it's funny. It's interesting.
It's
like so,
it's existential.
You don't want to get into it too much, but it's about the multiverse, and it obviously came out around. Like it was even out the same month Doctor Strange was out.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
It at least was a multiverse of madness because there was more than one. There was more than a universe.
Universe
That was only a house.
That's your biggest disappointment of the year.
Yeah, multiverse and a half, like, which it's not. So it is like it more deserves the title of Multiverse of Madness than Doctor Strange does by many multiverses. Even though they don't go to that many places. Actually, I think technically they don't even go to them, but they just
you see them. Yeah,
we do see a couple more. Yeah, we do see, like, without going into context, it's just the fact that I can even have a picture of a screen grab on my phone of the Actors on Actors interview with Jamie Lee Curtis and Colin Farrell, which is actually great, especially if you watch both of them, Chris. But there's just like a certain bit where she goes like, "Yeah, well, when we were doing the hot dog universe." That's great. I didn't even have to watch the film. You can still enjoy that, just that little moment. Or even having just the closed caption screen grab of her. Yes, we went to the hot dog universe.
Yeah, well, one of the most emotional parts of the film is the Rock universe, where they're not speaking, and it's just subtitles, but it's so deep.
Yeah.
Because the Rock.
Well, it's elements of the one. Like there is a little bit of that fun kind of kung fu action, but then it just gets awful silly. Like, and it's. Well, I guess there is. Yeah, like there is X amount of kung fu, but it's kind of or fighting and action. And
the stunts are impressive. Like we seen the re-release, so like again there was a bit before it where the Daniels kind of introduced it, and then after it there was a wee bit of like kind of behind the scenes stuff, and seeing him doing some of the wire work and some of the stunt work, like it was. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like unlike a Wachowski's film. Like there was a lot of that.
And Michelle Yeoh, like she's
Crouching Tiger, like obviously wire work and that. Like
Let me just see, because I actually think I was googling this. Like, so she's worked in Chinese cinema, but I don't think she is Chinese, or she's Malaysian herself.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Or is that really culturally insensitive to say that? Maybe Malaysia is a part of Michelle Yeoh. Michelle Yeoh Singh is a Malaysian actress.
Yep.
Yeah, Malaysian. Yeah, so like it's whatever. She is. So what? Sorry, I want to say that for age. She's 60. What's fucking Keanu? Like she is.
The female Keanu?
Basically, like she's the Jet Li, the Jackie Chan of female actresses, or not even like of Eastern actresses. What's Keanu's 58. I think a good summation that maybe your average mainstream audience wouldn't be aware of, that they've even seen her in as many things or whatever, but she's kind of the Keanu of the female Eastern Keanu, essentially. So like she's had all these mad skills for years, not even just in an action way, but in an acting way.
Oh yeah.
And it just gave her the chance to, like, I think because I was just back from my trip to New York where I was staying with Chinese people, and I was like, her accent at the start of it, where she's playing like someone who grew up in China but lives in America. Like she has a very strong accent, which you don't really get to say. Like, I think it's obviously improved in the last couple of years with kind of say like Asian representation, and because I think I wasn't aware of it up until about 2 or 3 years ago, or maybe a little bit longer ago. But like it seems to be more being rectified a lot more now, where you are getting just mainstream film, like fucking Parasite win. Like obviously that's Korean, but like Parasite winning the Oscar last year. Did it win the Oscar for main film or just?
Parasite won the Oscar for Best Picture.
Main Oscar. It wasn't foreign language yet, or it wasn't foreign.
It won both. Won both.
Couldn't have won both, could it?
I'm pretty sure it did.
Pretty poor.
I don't think you'd be able to win both. Well, whatever. But yeah, I just think it's that's what a lot of people seem to be talking about it. She's been this great all this time, and we're just getting to fully give her due and put her on her pedestal that she deserves. And the actor who played Short Round, sorry, I will look up his name.
Ki Kwan.
Ki Kwan. I haven't seen him in years, and he just fucking knocks it out of the park.
Yeah,
like,
he's
not that, like, I don't think he's he didn't have a crazy amount to do, but he was just as fucking enjoyable.
Oh,
Like you can, what I love is that he's also like in his 60s now, but you can still hear the little fucking kid that he was. You can hear his voice.
See that fight?
It doesn't change that much.
See that fight with the handbag? That was brilliant.
Yeah. Is he chewing gum or something? Or lip balm. He just takes bites out of lip balm.
I know.
Yeah, that was fucking great.
They've done a good job of, like, I guess you need good actors to do this, of, like, the different multiverses being totally different versions. Like, there's a universe where he's like this really successful, handsome businessman, and he wears like a suit, and he's got like an umbrella.
She's an actress,
and he just looks so like suave. And then he's this wee like dumpy, you know, laundromat owner with like an oversized cagoule on, and like the way that they can just kind of make these characters like chameleons, like
The actor who played the father, I think, died just after the film.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think he died, and it's like he's like fucking something crazy, like 200.
Yeah, he's been in stuff for years.
He's been in like everything, and you know,
James Hong.
But he's so old.
James Hong.
Is he dead?
James Hong.
He's not dead.
I think so. I kind of thought that was one of his last roles. No,
I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that.
Dead. He's amazing.
He's still got upcoming roles on IMDb. So.
Oh, sorry. No, nice to life. Sorry, 650 film and television credits.
Wow. I think
it's just he looks close to death in that film. But yeah, like he's been like he's fantastic. He's very funny in it. Jamie Lee Curtis is great in it. I think. Like I don't think we would, but like I think you could be looking at her film career a lot differently now if you're looking at the Alien films and or Halloween films than looking at this. Like if she hadn't done this, I don't think. Not that it would, like she's still Jamie Lee Curtis. It's not going to change her public opinion that much. But imagine if all she had going for her at the moment was the Halloween films. I think this kind of just shows, like, she's fucking another woman who's.
She was great in Knives Out.
Fucking.
Recently.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
She was good.
She's an absolute veteran. Like, you know, she's been working since she's like 17 or even younger. Her parents are also a nepo baby, which everyone seems to be fucking obsessed about now, which I don't know. I don't know where, like, was it the New York Times article? Yeah, it doesn't matter, like, of course. Jesus, actually, I had no interest in all this fucking royal family drama stuff, but the stuff that seems to be coming out from Harry's book is fairly fucking spicy.
Oh yeah, it's decent stuff, man. There's an interview coming out today.
Like fucking things fucking went for him, like William.
Yeah, but I mean,
he got physical with him.
Yeah, but they're brothers. Like, why is that?
Yeah, but they're the fucking royal family.
So?
You don't hear that shit.
Nah, it's not brother.
Yeah, fuck.
Brothers throw each up in the stairs if you get your heads in. Nah,
it is different. Yes, everyone does it, or everyone has their shit, but you never hear that kind of stuff about them.
But that makes him. Nah, do you know what? I'm not having this debate right
now. But still, like that's. Fucking laundry out in the fucking. They're not used to that kind of treatment.
I also feel a bit.
One of their own coming out with shit.
No,
good. It's about time someone came out with it. Scumbags.
Yeah. What was the other one? Camilla, as soon as Harry moved out of the palace, she changed his room into like a workout room. Someone was like, that's a bit of an insult to the 4-bedroom house, but when you have 250 rooms.
Yeah.
That's bad, that.
Yeah, I don't know how we got there, but anyway, everything all once. Yeah, it's just great. Like, I think it's the kind of film that it's like a kind of a comfort film. Did you ever see I Heart Huckabees?
No.
It's a weird kind of philosophical, like not Matt Damon.
That's Matt Damon. Is it not? No, I thought it was him. Are you okay?
Mark Wahlberg. Fucking hell, lads. I think I know. Jason Schwartzman's in it. I think it's the film where I can't remember her fucking name. What's that? Angie and Frankie or something? It's like a Jane Fonda and someone.
Oh, Grace and Frankie, is it? No.
Grace and Frankie. Who's the other woman?
I don't know, I've heard that name.
Dustin Hoffman's in it, but the other actress from that who's not Fonda, she apparently like had this. There was a pretty famous big shouting match she had with the director. He just like there's a particular scene where he's like getting up in her face and it always seems to be a thing when there's this like fucking abusive director that they'll pull a hair out of someone's head. It's like a fucking calling card.
One hair.
But that film was like a philosophical thing. It's a very funny, like it's very quirky. But there's a bit where like they've like those space hoppers, the bouncy balls you sit on, where they get that, and there's a whole thing in the film where they either use that or a pillow, and they smack it. It definitely happens between Jason Schwartzman and Mark Wahlberg's characters a lot, where they just smack each other in the face with the ball, and it gives them like a moment of zen, where it's like you can't think of anything else. Whatever. But not to say everywhere, everything all at once is exactly that, but it has a kind of like a philosophical meaning, and it's fun and it's quirky and whatever. I think it's the type of film that will become like even more of a cultist, even though it was quite well respected by indie circles and dramatic and critics and stuff. I think it just has that vibe of like you can just rewatch this a lot.
Yeah.
And fuck it.
There's not going to be a sequel, is it? It's not going to be a trilogy. You don't see that as the sequel.
No, I don't think so. I'd be surprised. There's not that kind of film.
It'll be like Braveheart, there's one and done. You know, can't have William Wallace too.
Well, I think there's other films you can compare to before you compare to Braveheart. To be fair,
Chris, do you have a final shout here?
I have one that's like I had two, but I actually enjoyed Top Gun Maverick, and I also enjoyed Prey. I put Prey down.
Top Gun's better than Prey, Chris. Jeez.
Prey was good. Do you know what it was? It was better than the previous Predator movies that came before it, like Predator.
That's a low bar.
Predator was utter shite. Like,
I think that Predators, the one with Adrian Brody, is better. I think that was better than Prey, in my opinion.
I think it brought me back to watching basically the first Predator. It kind of gave me the same vibes, and I was like, oh, I enjoyed that. But
yeah,
but it's Top Gun, right?
I liked it a lot more
because Top Gun was actually a good movie.
Well, Top Gun was good. Like,
I forgot about that.
Top Gun
wouldn't be in my top 5 just out of.
No, Top Gun was the one I was between. By the way, see, when I was between Boiling Point and something else, the other one was Top Gun.
Like Top Gun, you got to give the guy credit, man. He's doing all this. I don't know what he done. I know in Mission Impossible was his kind of thing where he wants to kill himself, but like, I don't know what he's done in like Top Gun Maverick. I don't know what he was allowed to do, but he's still.
We looked into it around the time. You can't
legally fly a military jet.
Actual military planes.
But everything but that.
Everything but, yeah.
So he was in a lot.
Yeah, you can't fly particularly fighter jets. You're not allowed to fly them if you're not.
And in the Navy or whatever.
Yeah, they wouldn't put you in one as much as a fucking lunatic as he is. Yeah, I think there's certain bits at the end where I was like.
I liked it. I thought I was like, he came back.
I loved the build up and I loved the payoff. I thought, I think there's something. I've said this a few times, I guess, and maybe it's a theme in terms of like expectations this year, like Avatar 2 and Knives Out. I kind of low expectations. Top Gun Maverick, like I didn't expect a Top Gun sequel to be any good. And because it was so good, I think that's why I'm thinking of it so highly. Because it was a great time in the cinema, and it wasn't technically it's a franchise, I guess, because it's Top Gun, but it's a 30-year-old franchise. Like it's not like a big deal. I don't think they'll do another one, will they? There's no way. I think they will after how much money this one made. 100%.
Really?
I don't think they would have, but this made a shit ton, so I absolutely think they will. But yeah, I just think this was like a great movie experience. This was a great cinematic experience.
I felt like a movie. It felt like an old movie, like a
movie
experience. Kind of thing.
What I think a lot of people wanted Tenet to be, like Tenet was kind of being marketed as like the movie to bring audiences back to the cinema. I feel like this. I feel like Top Gun Maverick was that. Everybody went to see it. I told my parents they went to see it and loved it. I told my pals, like every generation enjoyed it. It was a movie for dads and a movie for kids and a movie for like. It just had a nice universal appeal, and it proves why Tom Cruise knows what he's doing as a movie star. Whether you like him or not, he knows. He knows how to make a great movie.
Yeah,
I don't. 60. He's still doing this, so
is he?
He looks great. Like, I mean, I've never really
Michelle Yeoh of Western.
Me and Courtney were talking about this last night. I've never really seen the heartthrob thing with Tom Cruise, even when he was young. But for his age, Jesus Christ, he looks incredible. Like, he looks.
That's crazy. Yeah. I think because I don't even know if it was like I think it was like Lost World and Top Gun. It was like 2 weeks in a row. It felt like where I was trying to watch a film on my phone on the bus, the previous film in the series. So Top Gun, I had started it, but I just been fucking lazy and moving stuff around, so I ended up having to finish the original on my phone on the way in, and I kind of think you didn't really have as much sense of where the planes were. I think they were limited on budget. They only had limited time with the actual fighter jets to film them, so they could only... A lot of it's like reversed and whatever shots. But in this, like the mission is laid out perfectly. You know what he's
doing.
Physically supposed to be doing in that scene.
I mean, it was also just Star Wars, right? It was just a trench run. That's basically what they were doing. Like...
yeah, but it's different when you're seeing real planes do it. Yeah. It must have been. It wasn't CGI. It was like real planes do it, and like
must have been.
The stuff that they're in the cockpit. That's them filming. Like I think they may have altered the plane that someone else is flying, and they're just going.
Yeah, they're in the back seat. That's exactly how they do it. There's an actual pilot in front, and the actors in the back. Yeah, that's
So yeah, because like sure, fucking like a fucking gunfight is you're not gonna have a real gunfight, but or you kind of do something. Yeah, I just thought like at the end of it, I thought it was a little bit too like, oh, he gets his plane, then he gets his plane. Oh, now they go get a helicopter, and they get away, and then just. But again, I don't want to use the Dan technique of just describing what happens in the.
But I think Top Gun gets away with it because, like we're saying, it's a movie and it doesn't shy away from the fact it's a movie. Like it's just a big Hollywood fun time. Just over 2 hours. Just over 2 hours. It was like 2 hours.
Because what happened to me, I was bursting for a piss before I went in, and I saw somewhere I saw something, and I can't remember. Was it just that I see the real time or whatever? But for whatever reason, I was convinced it was about an hour and a half long. I was like, sound. And then I got to an hour and a half. I was like, fuck. I was very like I was in like I had to go to the toilet in the cinema before, but this was pain. I was like, I think I might have done some like damage to my internal
bladder,
urethra. Like it was. Yeah, like I don't think I was like by the time I got out there, I wasn't in fear of pissing myself, but I felt like I did myself a disservice by doing waiting out as long as I did, just because I got the timing of the film wrong. And I'm always wary of like going to the toilet any time during a film, but it's just because I read something wrong on the way in that I was like, I think it's only an hour and a half long. I was like, I think it was. Do you know what it was? I think it might have been. It might have been 30 minutes.
Yeah,
or so,
as 130 minutes,
which is then like 2 hours 10. Like. Yeah. So I think just by the length we've gone into films here, TV shows and games, we'll do it another time.
Yeah, as usual, we've rambled on.
Is there anything else you think we've missed out of what passed in the year? Because we're nearly at fucking 3 hours, I think.
Movie wise, Bullet Train was great. Bullet Train was a one-time in movies. I mean, it's not like an incredible movie, but it was fun.
Norman, I liked.
Norman.
Northman.
Oh yeah, I've not seen it. I've still not seen Northman.
Is it Norman? Who the fuck's
Norman? Wait, you haven't? Okay.
I've still not seen it.
That's the Skarsgård. That was a Skarsgård film.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nicole Kidman.
Robert Eggers, maybe. Yeah.
I've heard kind of dodgy things about that. Is that any good, Jerd? Is it like
dodgy? Yeah, good drama. Nice. Well, I think it's kind of the trailer might lead you to believe it's a little bit more action, but it's just a little bit like I've heard some people say like the characters in it are more. They're not fully fleshed out. They're like ideas of like their archetypes kind of thing. But
because it's Roger Eggers, isn't it?
Robert
Eggers.
Yeah. Fuck, what did I say? Fuck Robert Eggers.
Roger Rabbit.
Rogers.
Oh, I watched Roger Rabbit. I watched 2 films Roger Rabbit over the holidays. That's something else. Yeah.
Great.
Oh yeah. The end of it, it's dark. Like and
there's a film that I seen on Prime, which probably isn't from this year, but I only saw it this year, and I think it's up on the top of my. Of course, I start writing Prime because I said Prime. That's not what I meant to write. The Night Eats the World. It was a zombie film on Prime. It's French, based on a French book. Yeah, it's from 2018. I kind of knew it was a bit old, but I saw it this year, and it was fucking great. And it's very slow, like drama zombie film.
Oh, was it French? Was it speaking French? Like subtitles?
I think the actor's actually fucking like Dutch or something. And so maybe there is, because of that, there's English in it. So there's like, there's like, he goes to a house party and I don't know, he's dancing like a puppet. He used to be on the Irish TV shows, I can say. He goes to a party, but it's kind of like someone there's American and his girlfriend is French, and maybe he's from. I think the actor actually could have been. It's set in Paris anyway, but he seems to. I'm pretty sure most there's not much talking in it, and anyone he does talk to then are fucking English speaking. There might be something, and there could be intermixed with a bit of dialogue, but yeah, just really good. Yeah, so it's even languages: English, French, Norwegian. So I think there's a little bit of mixture of stuff in it. Yeah, I kind of knew it wasn't this year. Other than that, yeah, there's no point even going into things we didn't like. Dan didn't like Love and Thunder, so I probably didn't like.
We'll do that another week. We'll do that another week.
Yeah.
I think we've proved that we can ramble on and drag things out.
Best just goes to best, yeah.
We've done 2 hours on the best movies. We will be back to do games and TV shows, and then we might do like most disappointment, worst, and then we'll maybe do the most anticipated for 2023. What we're looking forward to. Like I really want to see The Whale, and a few others.
Oh yeah.
Not viewable now.
Is it? Not in Britain, right? Still, I think it's in cinemas in America. I think it's out in America, but it's not here.
Oh, okay.
Aye, February.
Yeah.
What about Black Adam?
Oh, fuck.
The DC universe has changed.
No more DC.
And there's no fucking Black Adam involved. Yeah, that whole situation really put me off the rock, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure. Listen, what's his name? James Gunn will come out with his whole DC slate. We'll come on in episode 1 week. We'll discuss all that shit, and then it'll get absolutely obliterated again, and then we'll come back the next time they reset it. So don't worry about it. Stay tuned. There's a teaser for 2023 Pop Shock discussing the 9 different slates at DC announced over the next 6 months. Can't wait. Yay. But hey. Ant-Man soon as well. Ant-Man's next month, so I'm excited to be excited.
Ant-Man is next month.
February?
So, yeah.
Is it not?
Sure.
Maybe March. Maybe I think it's February. Maybe March. February or March. Yeah, I'm excited to be excited about Marvel again. Like bring in Kang and give us something to look forward to. Like because I need that for Marvel. Do you know what I mean?
The way you say it is just
they're losing me. I'm teetering here. But anyway, that'll be us for 2023. But listen, see by the time we do our recap of 2022 and our most anticipated, we'll be at Ant-Man. We'll be in March. Do you know what I mean? So don't worry about it.
We'll be the middle of the year.
We're not going to run out of content. Yeah, but yeah, listen. If you've like actually came back and listened to us for the new year, cheers, because we did take a break. I wasn't worried about losing listeners because no one listens to us. Thanks for coming back anyway.
Podcast, that's it. We listen to it.
Yeah, but
we're reminding ourselves of our reviews, which is good for our mental health.
We'll do.
That's what I say when I listen back to voice notes that I send people. How did I come across there in that thing I just said?
Negative? Aggressive?
I love the sound of my own voice.
Anyway, we'll see you next week. All the best. Thanks for subscribe, like, leave a comment, review, social media.
See you on the next
Facebook,
page.
Instagram, see you on the next page.
Did you disagree with anything we said?
Yeah, leave us comments. God, yeah. What was your favourite movie of 2022? Let us know. Let us know in the comments.